Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Appreciate your patience. Murph and I were talking off the air about how much Murph can't wait to jump into the NBA season. That guy is, if there's NBA fans out there and they're here, this man is in a different stratosphere. And that's because he's not watching. So anyways, we'll get into a bunch of stuff that's coming up today on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Thanks for starting off your week with us. For those of you that still think it's March, me too. So, inside of MonPazPopcorn.com's What's Poppin', I write it on everything. I'm writing March. I'm like, what is it, March 15th? Is it March 31st? Is it March 20th? Because these months went by too fast. Why is it April? Are we? And I do every week when I go to write something down, I check my calendar and I go, is it April? It's April. Okay. So, enjoy your time. Spend it wisely. Don't let it pass you by, folks. We're going to talk about a lot of things today. I'm wearing this shirt, Are You Human, for a reason and a purpose. Hour number 2 is really going to show you that. So we'll discuss that in just a little bit. But inside of MonPazPopcorn.com's What's Poppin'. And for those of you that are paying close attention to my shirt, you can see that there's something else written here. And it's actually a Marvel shirt that if you shut off the lights, it glows in the dark. It says, Are You Inhuman? So kind of cool. Hiding in plain sight has something to do, I think, with the Skrull Kree War kind of motif as well. Things that are hiding in plain sight. Good stuff coming up with Marvel. Superpowered Pop will be handling that all for you. Got some Blue Beetle things coming up with DC too, so I'm excited about it. I'm back in the eBay bidding world, so Murph and I will talk about the fact that I'm rolling the dice in an interesting way again, because, you know, if I ever want to go to Vegas and have the opportunity to win $100,000 or hear Murphy yell probably an F-bomb pretty loud, then, you know, I mean, that's the thing, is you got to go. If you're going to gamble, you gamble with Murph. So, but you gamble wisely, right? You got to gamble wisely. So we'll talk about my eBay stuff that's going on here, having a good time. DT and Murphy coming up in hour number 1. We're going to talk about a little bit of everything, and we will make sure to include what we promised you, which is obviously discussing the world of Major League Baseball. My Diamondbacks are first in their division. I will say that until I can't, and hopefully I can keep saying it. That would be great. I said going into the year that I thought they're going to be a lot better than people give them credit for. I took the over on 74.5 wins, and I think it's going to be much more than that. I'm leaning on a good season. I really am. I trust my vibes, and my vibes have been here since before the season started, so we'll discuss. We'll also get into NIL and the transfer portal and what it's doing in college athletics. Oh my gosh, did anybody warn anybody 3 years ago, more than 3 years ago, that maybe this wasn't going to work out? Maybe it wasn't a good idea. Maybe we needed parameters. I don't know if there was a show called Wake Up Call that tried to be exactly that and let you know what was happening. Now people are scrambling, running around, freaking out, yelling, crying, not understanding. College athletics isn't college anymore. Who the hell saw that coming? Well, folks, that's sarcasm. And if you don't know, well, you're going to get to know it this hour. And in hour number 2, two mics, no filter, Andrea and I are going to talk about dating, relationships, and the fact that on Tuesday, April 18th, blow off the confetti, I tried to do a dating app, and I'm officially off of them as of tomorrow. And I cannot wait to celebrate with all of you, because if you thought people were weird, go on a dating app for like a month, and it'll make you think you're living on another planet. That's why I'm getting off, because I want to believe in the goodness of people, and dating apps doesn't show me that. So Andrea and I will get into it in hour number 2, and two mics, no filter. So, picture in picture with me right now, Brendan Murphy, DT and Murphy here with you, speaking on MLB, NIL, transfer portal, how it's changing college, and of course, getting into the fact that my eBay is kind of riding in the world of Brendan's gambling. So, in a way, we're going to have some fun with it. Murph, how you doing?
Doing much better now that we're not broadcasting from the Garden State Parkway this week. So, for those of you that were listening last week when I was on this show, I phoned in from the car because I was driving home from New Jersey from my family's Easter get together, and I was literally on the Garden State Parkway for most of my time on the show.
Yeah.
So that was pretty entertaining. But I'm doing well, Dan. How are you doing today?
Doing well, man. I'm here. I'm alive. I'm getting off of the dating app world tomorrow. And people are like, why not today? And that's because when you buy a subscription, I'm like, I bought it. I'm holding out until it's over. So until the bitter end, I bet on a few of them, but I can tell you this without fail. Every single dating app I've been on, I've met at least one crazy person. So they have a 100% crazy person guarantee. Maybe that should be the commercial. You will find one weirdo that will make you question reality on every one of the days. It doesn't matter which one you use. It really doesn't. So, and I can tell you when my wonderful ex-girlfriend stories, I can link them each to a dating app in the last few years, which is really hilarious and probably not a good selling point for any of the apps. Hey, if you want a girl that stares at the wall, I got an app for you. So, but yeah, so we've
Mhm.
had some fun. I want to get to eBay though. I want to jump into eBay for a second because I'm back in my eBay world, and I probably going to start selling stuff on eBay because I got a ton of things that I should have sold within these last few years, especially with my sports card collection since it's so hard to get certain things like during the pandemic and whatnot. And I got a bunch of the autograph cards, memorabilia cards, and all that stuff. There's certain things I will not sell, like my card that has a piece of Hank Aaron's bat. That's never going to be sold. But in my Nolan Ryan that sits literally almost eye to eye with me right off camera. But yeah, but eBay, I've been in my bidding world. I've won a couple bids. I'm super excited. I bid on something yesterday that was more than what I wanted to spend, arguably. I'm happy I didn't win, but I love to jump into the bidding world of it. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that with you since you talk about, putting money on games, this, that, and whatever. In the eBay world, I'm putting money out and I'm kind of jockeying back and forth. And I have a system of how I go about things, and my system won over the weekend, so I'm pretty proud of that.
Yeah, I mean eBay bidding world is not all that dissimilar to gambling because especially if you're going to buy and sell stuff,
Yeah.
I mean you're gambling that you're going to get what you want for it. I mean it's just like if anybody's ever watched Pawn Stars,
Yeah.
like anything they buy is a gamble because they got to be able to sell it. Now if you're buying something for yourself, sure, you spend what you feel comfortable spending, but if you're specifically buying something to sell it, you got to know what you can sell it for and try to have a decent margin. And if that margin is not wide enough or you can't at least make a little bit of money, it's not really going to be all that worth it. So, I know you had said, so what exactly have you been bidding on? Is it like, are you looking into more like memorabilia and stuff, or is this something completely different?
So what I did recently, and one of them was not, I didn't have to bid on it. I put that it was on my watch list, and the person that owned it sent me like a private message and said, hey, like make me an offer on what do you want. So they gave me a discount on it, and they said like, hey, we'll give it to you for this much, and you can counter offer. Now in eBay, if you counter offer and they accept it, you have to pay for it. So I
Mm-hmm.
counter offered and he accepted it. And so I got my now this is a childhood thing for me, something that meant a lot to me as a kid, and I lost it and I still don't know where it is. I had a Darkwing Duck watch. And the Darkwing Duck watch, when you wanted to see the time, he was like this, and you have to open up his cape to see the time. And I found it online, and normally Darkwing Duck stuff is insanely priced in certain, like the video game. There's people selling the box to the video game, not even the video game, and the box to the video game is like $70 just to have the box for memorabilia, which is ridiculous.
Jeez.
And I want the video game, but I haven't found one that was priced, I mean, there's like $70, $80, and I want one that works. I'm not buying it to put it on a shelf. I'm buying it to play it. And so I got that Darkwing Duck watch, but the bid one that I just did, that one was for the first appearance of Blue Beetle. And Blue Beetle, a character that I never thought that I would even know, care about, like, whatever, because I didn't know the story. I didn't know the background. I didn't know anything about it. I agree, it came out in 2006, and I wasn't necessarily heavily, buying comic books at that time. I was in college, and so I wasn't paying attention. Well, the Blue Beetle trailer came out, and people that obviously know me know that I'm part Hispanic. And what I love about it is not it's not just that part, but seeing somebody who's a hero coming from that, coming from that world of being Hispanic, and knowing that, some Spanglish might be in the movie, some things, can be said. George Lopez is a part of it. Is one of my favorite comedians. So to see that, I thought was pretty cool. And I'm watching the trailer, and I just thought it was amazing. And at the end of the trailer, they say we can, the thing tells them, the scarab, we can build whatever you want us to build, like whatever you imagine. And he has a sword in one hand and a sword in another, and he puts them together, and it makes this long sword. And then he's like, let's party. And he does this like Spanish dance move, and then the sword goes down on the ground, and he yells out like, ha ha, like that. And I just thought it's such a cool scene, and it sold me. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to look more into Blue Beetle now. And I thought Strike While the Iron's Hot. The trailer just came out. The movie hasn't come out yet. It's coming out in August. So try and see if you can find see if you can find the first appearance in good shape as a comic book that you can maybe get graded someday, and see if you can get it for a good price. So I'm looking out there, $75, $80. Some of these ones that are, in the casing already, that have already been graded like a card, they're a lot more. And so I found one that was like 30 something bucks, and I have a system to how I go about when I bid and how I bid and all that. So I'm gonna keep that to myself. But so I was waiting, and then at the end I bid on it, and then I put out my max bid, and it was like, okay, this is what I'm willing to go after, and I got it for 43 bucks, which to me, if this comes in the shape that it arguably says it's in, I've at least saved myself 30 something dollars. And if the movie does well, or the momentum keeps running forward, then, I've already gotten something at like a $30 discount in my mind. And if all goes well, that book could end up being a heck of a lot more. And I was just talking about one that I own. There's a few that I own that easily could be going into a realm of, there's a book that I have that could be like 100, 200 bucks right now, and it could be like 10 grand, depending on how certain things go. So, when you get laughed at for collecting comic books, I find it really funny, because at the end of the day, like collecting cards, it's an investment, and it's kind of like buying in the stock market, because it goes up and down, but you have something of value. And comic books and collectibles and cards are at a value in today's world that I don't know if they've been this highly sought after in the past, which is crazy. So yeah, so I got something that I think was at least $30 less than it needed to be. And if all goes well with the movie and the momentum goes well into it, that $43 comic book, by the time I get it in a few days, could be $75, $80, $100, $200. And I think it's only going to go up, which is a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, that could be a great investment for you. And it's funny you mentioned like like the comic stuff and everything. My cousin Mike, while I was out doing like the Easter with my family, is going to be having a table at this comic and collector show. Let me see if I can find it, because I'm going down with him, and I'm going to help him run his table, and I'm also going to sell some of my, or at least try to sell some of my memorabilia, like my sports cards and stuff, because it's a sports card show too.
Yeah.
It is in Manalapan, New Jersey on, what day is that? May 6th. It's a Saturday.
Yeah. Of course, so, everything's on May 6th, because I'll be out of town.
So I'll be down there with him. I'm going to sell some of my stuff. I mean, those of you that know me, I got a ton of baseballs back here. Off camera, I got probably 20,000 or so baseball cards that I might start to get rid of little by little. But I mean, some of my stuff's valuable. I've got a set that I'm trying to finish that I'll probably do some shopping that day and try to finish it, of the 1969 Mets Topps cards.
Yeah.
And the one main one that I'm missing is Nolan Ryan. So that's one of the big ones. I have Tom Seaver already, and I'm missing Nolan Ryan. So I have to look into it a little bit see if I can find anybody that has that card at a somewhat reasonable price. I'm not necessarily looking to spend like $300 on it, but if I can get it for like $150 or $200, I might try and sell off that collection as a whole. I mean, I wanted to finish the set so that it was, complete team.
Yeah.
So, World Series sets, especially older ones, like 60s, 50s, 60s, 70s, those can go for a little bit of money, especially if there's some valuable cards in them. Now, they're not all in the world's greatest shape. Like, I didn't get everything in like a Beckett or a PSA 10, but, it's in good enough shape that, I can probably get a few $100 for it after having invested some in it. But, I mean, that's something I did a lot growing up. I never spent a ton of money on some of that stuff.
Yeah.
One of the most valuable ones, and probably one that I'll never get rid of until, hold on, let me grab it. It's one of these ones sitting behind me. So, for those that don't know, I grew up as a massive Mike Piazza fan. He was my favorite player as a kid. I got cards right over my shoulder right here. My first baseball jersey ever was a Mike Piazza jersey. That's hanging up off screen over there. I got a giant Piazza, a couple of Piazza. Actually, let me see if I can. Yep, a couple of Piazza.
Yeah.
What's it called? Posters on the wall. I mean, he was my idol growing up, and I have a PSA 9 Bowman rookie card of his that I would never sell unless I upgraded to a PSA 10, which I'd like to do. And this and the Fleer Update 1992 are the known rookie cards of his.
Yeah.
And I also have a book over there with about 300 or so other Mike Piazza cards. I got that card. I got jersey cards. I got all sorts of stuff that's really, really cool. But with him, he was always my favorite player. I got a bobblehead back here too. If you can't, it's
yeah.
Where's my finger going? That one, right there.
I showed you.
It's kind of broken because when I was a kid, I would like hit it against stuff. So, and I was really little when I got it, but
it was pretty cool. Did you see that I have this in?
Which one's that? Is that Pete Alonso? Oh yeah, you showed me that one.
Yeah. So I got Pete Alonso, who's right off camera, but this is. Thank you for sharing your stuff, Brendan. This one, and this is actually when they used to write it on the back. Like if it was something of 1,000 like this one is, they would actually write, if you guys can see it, that 105, that's like written on there, like in a pen. And so this is Nolan Ryan autographed inside of this beautiful plastic casing.
That's cool.
And this is from my uncle. And there's something, to me, there's just something cool about when you put it in a case like this, and it looks like it's suspended in air. But
yeah,
Nolan Ryan autographed 105 of 1,000 limited edition made in the world. And
that's sweet.
Yeah, this is like a family heirloom because my uncle gave it to me. So it will not be sold. This is not going anywhere. And but I have sports memorabilia that is like it's all staring at me. A bunch of signed things that are like right off camera, basketballs, footballs, baseballs. And I don't know if you know that I have this, but let me grab this one. Whoops. Let me grab this. Okay. So this coaster from Tully's
in Scranton
this is the Tully's in on Erie Boulevard.
Oh, I didn't know that was I didn't know it was a chain. The only one I've ever heard of is the one in right off the Park Summit exit.
So that is Donovan McNabb's signature because he was working at Tully's that day, and my mom and I were like, I was like, Mom, I think that's Donovan McNabb, and she goes, I think you're right. And my dad goes, that's not Donovan McNabb. And my mom's like, why? And she's like, he wouldn't be working at Tully's. And my mom's like, no, I think it is. And I was like, Dad, I'm really confident that that's Donovan McNabb. And my dad said, he's like, you guys are both crazy. So he walks out of the restaurant after we finish eating, And my mom and I go up to him. My mom goes up to him, and he's at the host table. And she says, "Excuse me, I have a question for you." And she goes like this, and he bends down, and she's like, "Are you Donovan McNabb?" And he looks at her, and he looks around, and he goes. And my mom's like, "Can my son have, your signature?" So she ran back to the table and got this coaster, and he signed it. And I remember this when he was on the basketball team, and I wanted him, because I played basketball my whole life, I wanted him to sign number 25 for basketball. And I remember looking at this and my mom going, "Are you happy that you got it?" And I was like, I wish he would have signed the basketball signature, not knowing what he was going to become. And I
better off that way.
Yeah. So the crazy thing about this is he said something to my mom and I that I'm never going to forget. And what he said to us when he gave me this is that he looked at my mom, he looked at me. I remember exactly where I was standing. He bent down, and my mom and I were next to each other, and he whispered in both our ears at the same time. He said, "I know I'm not anything right now, but watch. I might be somebody someday." And that's what he said to us. And then he ended up being the number 2
awesome.
pick. So yeah.
That was while he was at Syracuse then.
That was while he was at Syracuse. That was when like he wasn't even, he was like just becoming the guy for football. So it was like before that anybody knew that this guy was going to do anything. And he just had this belief in himself. And I liked him, and I love that he played both sports. But this was at a time where people were still kind of like, who's Donovan McNabb? And then that all happened. And I remember fast forward to being in Florida. It was draft day. My mom's like, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I'm watching the draft." And she's like, "Daniel, we're going out. We're going to the pool. Get ready." And my mom's like getting ready, putting makeup on, this and that and all that. My dad's laying on the bed, just kind of like reading or hanging out, whatever. And I'm standing in front of the television, like nose to nose with the TV. I go, "Ma, the draft's on." It's when the draft, like first round used to be during the day and, in April, whatever. So I'm standing there like this. And I said, "Mom, we can't leave until Donovan gets drafted." She's like, "Well, you better hope he gets drafted quick, because I'm going down the pool. I'm going to leave you here." And so I'm standing there. Tim Couch gets drafted. Second pick, Donovan McNabb. I went nuts, and this was my mom's reaction. Instead of like, "Yeah," I'm screaming, jumping. I'm like, "Yeah, Mom." I was like, "Donovan got drafted." She goes, "Great, put your trunks on and let's go." And so like that was the story of Donovan getting drafted. And I remember Ricky Williams, people wanted him in Philly, and they were wearing his jerseys. I remember they booed Donovan McNabb, and I remember standing there cheering, and my smile went from like this smile to a stunned face, and I was like, "Yeah." And I'm looking at the TV and I'm hearing all these boos, and I'm like, why are they booing him? And I remember I got really mad.
It's Eagles fans. It's what they do.
I got really mad. And then to this day, I ask Eagles fans all the time, besides Donovan McNabb, who's done it for you? Vic didn't do it for you. Folsey, he did it. Him and Peterson, they helped get you there. But I always get, and this is when he was playing, whenever somebody would complain about Donovan, I would always say, who was their quarterback before Donovan? And the most avid Philly fan, right, exactly. Yeah, they have no idea.
I genuinely have no idea who their quarterback was before Donovan McNabb.
Ty Detmer, Coy Detmer. I
have no clue.
From Randall Cunningham to Donovan McNabb, can Philly fans even name that region of quarterback? So, it's just crazy to me that people didn't respect him. But now it's like, oh, he wasn't that bad. And I'm like, how many divisional championships, conference championships did he have to win? He went to the Super Bowl with Terrell Owens, which is a headache. So, he didn't win it. He
was a Hall of Famer, though.
Yeah. Yeah. The thing is, and listen, Terrell is talented, but there's talented and then there's talented drama, which Aaron Rodgers is still
Odell Beckham Jr.
Aaron Rodgers is still not a Jet. So, but still
Odell Beckham Jr. is a Raven.
Yeah, he's a
Thank
Raven.
God we don't have to worry about him. My dad was ecstatic when he found out that we were not signing him.
Odell, yeah.
But now I've been hearing rumblings that DeAndre Hopkins might be an option. And if you can get him for a mid-round pick, get him for a 4th or 5th round pick, I'm all in for that.
I don't
Give
know.
him a new deal. I mean, he hops way better than Odell Beckham Jr. right now.
I don't know what happened.
Especially pair him with Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. But Arizona, I don't know what happened to Arizona. They had a coach and a quarterback for less than 365 days. Then they got another coach. He's now gone. You brought in DeAndre Hopkins. Things don't look like it's great there. Who knows if they're going to really believe in Kyler Murray for the future. Arizona went from this team that was supposed to shock and awe, a team that was coming up under the radar that could make the playoffs, to now a team that every couple years is kind of looking like the Browns, where they're just changing. And people don't talk about it because the Browns are here and Arizona's over here and you can't compare them, but they're changing their quarterback, they're changing their wide receivers, they're changing their head coach. I mean, you've had 2 head coaches in, half a decade? So that's not a good look if you're Arizona. And DeAndre was supposed to be this huge missing piece, and now they might be missing him. They don't have Christian Kirk anymore. Cliff Kingsbury's gone. I mean, it's a weird world in Arizona right now.
Yeah, it is. I mean, and you can't even necessarily blame it on Kyler Murray. Like, he's been hurt. Like, it's not. I mean, that's not on him. And when he's been on the field, he's been, he hasn't been bad, but he also hasn't been, a world beater or anything. Yeah. He's been a good quarterback. Like, Kyler Murray's not. Like, when he was drafted number 1 overall, we all thought, he's going to be great. He's going to be a superstar. He's not that. He's a very good quarterback who I would argue is better than Lamar Jackson. Yes, I said that. Come at me if you want, but Lamar is still not good. He never will be, even with Odell. So I'm going to make that known. But if you put Kyler Murray in a better situation, he'd be a lot better. Like, if you took him and plopped him down in, honestly, Carolina, I think would be a good example. If you put him in Carolina with the pieces that they had, if they would have kept DJ Moore with the trade up to go to number 1, I think they could have been pretty good. With Frank Reich in that offense, could have been pretty good. But who knows? I mean, it looks like they may end up trading down.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll see. There's rumblings that the Colts are maybe looking to move up. The Raiders are looking to move up. And I'm telling you right now, if they are moving up for Anthony Richardson, it's a mistake. And I'm telling you this as a diehard Florida Gator fan. If any team trades up for Anthony Richardson that does not have a current starting quarterback that is a veteran, that knows the ropes, that Richardson can sit behind, then it's a mistake. The 2 teams that make the most sense, in my eyes, the Seattle Seahawks at 5, and if the Ravens were to trade up and get him. Those are the only 2 teams that make sense. Because Richardson can sit, he can learn, and the guys in front of him are similar quarterbacks to him. I think Richardson's got a lot more talent than someone like Geno Smith and Lamar Jackson, but he is not ready to start. He is so raw. Having watched him for the last 2 seasons, he's not ready to start in the NFL. He's not. And if he gets drafted by the wrong team, he's going to be a bust, and it's going to kill me to see it. Because I really like the guy. I think he's a great it seemed like a great person in all the interviews I've seen. He's a great locker room guy for Florida. He just wasn't. He was just so raw that he wasn't quite ready yet. And you knew he was going to blow away the combine, and he did.
Yeah.
But problem is, he's such a freak of nature. It could be too good to be true, and I hope it's not. I hope he does well, but he's got to go to the right situation. He needs to fall into Seattle's lap. I'm even okay if he goes to the Raiders because they're not going to start him right away. Garoppolo's their starter. Yeah. If he goes to the Raiders, sits for a year or 2, that could be good. I hate the Raiders franchise. I think they're dysfunctional, and I don't think that'd be the greatest landing spot for him. But it would be better than if he went to Indy and had to start. Or, oh God, who else is trying to trade up for a quarterback? Or any of these other teams that are looking for a starter.
Yeah.
He's not a starter right away.
Yeah.
And we can get into that as we get a little closer to the draft. Is the draft next week or the following week? I can't remember.
Following week. It's April 27th, 8th, and 9th.
Okay.
So next week.
So yeah, I mean we'll get into that, I'm sure, when I'm on that week. But because I don't want to take up too much of the time with football, but that's just my thoughts on it with a guy like Richardson. Like, I really hope that he goes to the right team.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I think honestly, any rookie quarterback should have time. Now, that's not going to happen with the teams that are drafting 1 and 2 that are looking for quarterbacks, or 1 and 5 or 1 and 3 or whatever the spots are that they're in at, because they're there because they want the franchise guy. I mean, Trevor Lawrence, for example. So not everybody has that luxury of sitting. And
well, that's different though.
Yeah.
That's different though. I mean, you got a generational talent like that.
Right.
I mean, in Trevor Lawrence's case, Trevor Lawrence was the best quarterback to come out of college since Peyton Manning. Yes, I think he was better than Andrew Luck. It was a no doubt shoo-in that he was going to be a great quarterback. It took him a little longer than we would have expected. He had a very Peyton Manning-like first year in the league.
Yeah.
But now we know he's a superstar quarterback. And he's going to be for the next, 10, 15 years. And I'm looking forward to watching him. He, Mahomes, Allen, who just got, I'm losing my train of thought here. But those guys are going to be going at it for a long, long time. Jalen Hurts,
Joe Burrow,
guys like that. They're going to be going at it for a long time.
Yeah. And the thing is, I don't care. Obviously, morality is at the forefront. So let me say that, because when you say get it done by any means necessary, I say that in a different way, because I wouldn't do it outside of morality. Don't sacrifice to let him go. I don't care. Tell the wide receivers they're going to have to put the contract together and figure it out. Not everybody's going to get 20 mil, and not everybody needs 20 million to live on. Not everybody needs 1 million to live on. So, my whole thing is, whatever they got to do in the future to make sure that he stays a Jaguar, do it. That is the number one priority. Yeah. That is my number one priority right now. My priority is that Trevor Lawrence, healthy, strong, and continue to be who he is, number 16, needs to wear Jaguars teal for the rest of his life. I don't want to see him in any other jersey.
He will. I mean, the only way he wouldn't would be if he were to do something like what Brady or Manning did at the end of their careers, and go elsewhere. And that's elsewhere and win a Super Bowl. But
that's the thing, is, like, we haven't had, since Mark Brunell, we haven't had a guy say, "Hey, I'm coming, I'm staying, that's it." And I think Byron Leftwich was pretty dedicated to the Jaguars, David Garrard, and I think Blake Bortles would have stayed forever. By the way, before Trevor came in and whatnot, Blake was number 2 to Mark Brunell in pretty much every single category. So, and Mark Brunell did a whole lot more with a whole lot more. He did a little bit more with a whole lot more. Blake did a whole lot with not a lot. So, if you look at Mark's numbers and Blake's numbers and you compare them, and you compare completion percentage and interceptions and yardage and touchdowns and all of that stuff, and you look at what Blake had and the arguable Hall of Famers that Mark Brunell had, it was a different world. But people dog Blake, and Blake finished above David Garrard, above Byron Leftwich, and I give him credit where credit's due. I give him his flowers. I might be one of the only people that gives him his flowers, but I'm going to give it to him, and Papa Joe as well. Trevor Lawrence, to me, is the guy. Mark Brunell didn't start his career in Jacksonville, but people know him as a Jaguar. And Trevor started his career in Jacksonville. He needs to play maybe the number on his jersey, 16 years in Jacksonville. But I don't want to see that man in any other jersey. I don't want to see it. I don't want to see him come to town as a Charger. No. I don't want to see him come to town as anybody else. He's a Jaguar. And that is one of the things that they got to take care of. You lock him up. You make whatever you got to do. You start now. You start right now saying, okay, here's our plan. Here's our plan A, B, C, D, E to make sure that he stays here. Because Trevor Lawrence is the type of quarterback that you just don't let go of. You don't let him go somewhere else where you have to face him. And I think Jacksonville's number one thing for the next umpteen years is to make sure that you keep him happy, sign him long term, and lock up your quarterback, because you don't let that go. You don't get him for 4 years and then say goodbye. Not at all.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And realistically, I'm willing to bet in 20 years we'll be talking about the two best quarterbacks of this generation, Patrick Mahomes and Trevor Lawrence.
Okay.
That's just the way it is.
Some people are going to...
That's how good Trevor Lawrence has the potential to be. And he took a massive leap forward this year. That team got way better.
Yeah.
Partially because they had a competent coach.
Yes.
And why he was ever let go from Philly, I don't know. So that was a blessing for you guys.
Yep.
But realistically, I could see Trevor Lawrence doing something along the lines of what Tom Brady did. Not championship-wise, but taking less money to ensure a good team around him.
Yeah.
It just seems like that's the type of guy he is. Now, obviously, you've had interviews and interactions with him more than I have, but it just seems like the type of guy he is. Like, he wants to win no matter what. So if he's got that win at all cost mentality, he could be that guy that takes significantly less than any other quarterback, still getting paid good money. Like, people forget, Tom Brady was still making $25-30 million a year.
Yeah.
At quarterback.
Yeah.
He wasn't making 40 plus.
Right.
But he's basically told them, pay me, figure out the other guys, and then we'll figure out my money. Like, if you need more money from me to pay for, like, I need to take $2 or $3 million less so that you can go get a big receiver, do it.
Yeah. I'll
take that less money. So I hope like heck he does that. And, Jaguars will win multiple Super Bowls with him. Mark my words, it's going to happen. And to think that he would have been a Jet if Adam Gase didn't win 2 games. Like a jerk. I hate Adam Gase.
I loved when I was like, wait, the Jets winning? Are the Lions? What is happening, right? So, and I remember just kind of I'm like, we're going to have the number 1 pick. And then when we locked it, I was like, oh, dang. Like, thank you. Thank you to the rest of the NFL for giving us that opportunity, because Jacksonville was trying to win.
You're welcome.
Jacksonville wasn't trying to lose. We were trying to win. I was at those games. We were trying to win. And so I would have said something if they looked like they were tanking, because I don't agree with any of that. But I look at, you're
beat the Colts in week 1.
Yeah. 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 But
they played well in week 1.
Yeah.
They just didn't win another game.
But then, you look at what you were saying about, Tom Brady taking less money and building the team around him. Look at all the quarterbacks that take these giant balloon contracts and what's happened. Aaron Rodgers, nothing. Yeah, he won back in the day, but recently, nothing. Since signing that contract, nothing. And as you see these Kyler Murray, some of these deals, nothing. The only quarterback that has taken a giant amount of money and still wins Super Bowls is Pat Mahomes. He's an enigma.
And that's because he's awesome.
Yeah, he is an enigma. He is. That's why I won't field anybody telling me that he's not the best quarterback in the NFL right now, and because he is. Now, I think Josh Allen at times is close. Josh Allen's year this year, they weren't comparable. Him and Patty Mahomes, and you can compare numbers and statistically try and fight me on that. But in the gameplay, they weren't comparable. Pat Mahomes was in a different world. And, kind of like in that stratosphere where you watch the NBA, that's where Pat Mahomes was. And so I mean, to me, nobody was touching him. The guy was playing injured. The guy's hobbling on one ankle, and then he comes back in and runs for a 15-yard first down to set up a field goal. He's not even just playing the game. He's running after we thought he couldn't run, and he did that in multiple games. I mean, he's just a different player. He's a generational player. And what he's doing with the amount of money he gets and not having Tyreek Hill, that is a slim to no historic minority of how does that happen. Aaron Rodgers isn't doing it.
Yep.
I don't think Lamar Jackson is going to do it. There's no way in hell Deshaun Watson might even make the playoffs. And
God.
So, and they gave him a guaranteed contract. So, really what it comes down to is if you're a smart quarterback and you can live off of the poverty of 20 to 30 million a year, poor you, then you can buy other players and you can bring other people in. And then you're going to make money for the rest of your life. Listen, Trevor Lawrence has a good personality. He's got the long hair. He has fun. He's got a nice smile. That kid's going to be doing commercials for the rest of his life if he wants to. So I'm not worried about his money. I'm not worried about his money's longevity. And I think he gets that. I mean, look at what Christian Kirk and Zay Jones did. They converted part of their salaries, each of them, in the offseason this year so that we had more money to spend. They both did what they needed to do to make the team win. And they signed big contracts.
Well,
the
thing with that, though, I mean, when you have guys convert their salary cap or their salary into a signing bonus, they basically just get paid that money up front.
Right.
So, and it becomes a bonus instead of salary. So, now they still have to pay that money against the cap. And that's one thing that you see a lot of teams do. Like they'll have a lot of guys convert money to salary cap, but they're just saying they're pushing that money down the line so that they could figure out cap for this year.
Yeah. And the thing is
I mean, if you're an NFL player that's getting offered that, why wouldn't you take it? You're still getting the money. You're just getting it all up front.
Yeah. If you're good with it, if you're good with your money, but that's the thing is take the money and then, take more now so that we're divvying up less over time later so that we can go get who we need to get and do what we need to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so I like
That's exactly what the Jets are doing right now to figure out how they're going to figure out how they're going to swing Aaron Rodgers.
Listen, there was a few years ago where we had the most cap in the country. We had over $70 million to spend. It's not like that anymore. And
nope.
In Jacksonville, it's not going to be like that. If we keep Christian,
and you're a couple years away from having to pay Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, Trevor. If we keep Christian, if we keep Zay, if we keep ETN, if
Trayvon Walker's going to have to get paid at some point.
If we're keeping Trey, so what we're going to do with Cisco, our third round pick. So there's a lot of things that come. Tyson Campbell from Ohio State, our corner, who's in his rookie contract. There's a lot of things that we have to make decisions upon. So if these guys are willing to win together, and this is the other thing that people don't talk about because A, they're not in the locker room, and B, people in the media are afraid to talk about God. And I'm going to challenge them every single time because I'll talk about God all day, every day. All day, every day. Why? Because I know where I came from and I know where I want to go. And I know it ain't all by me, honey. I didn't make myself. So that room is about faith. That locker room is about God. That team is the most faithful team that I've seen in a long time. The majority of that locker room talks to me about God all season long. And you can see it. And it has changed the culture. 12 years of me being in that locker room, I've never seen people say, God is good, man. Like, we have God, we got each other, we have a strong faith. And that's one of the things that I learned about this business that breaks my heart, is Marvin Jones is one of those guys talk to me about God and faith, and now he's gone. He's with Detroit again. And that, to me, is the tough part of the business, is that not only are the Jaguars my favorite team, but they're the team I've covered the longest and been credentialed with the longest. When I have to see one of those guys leave, I feel that because Riley Patterson and Jamal Agnew and Marvin Jones Jr. and Christian Kirk and Zay Jones, and Trevor, who I had covered in college. And there's a lot of these guys at Cam Robinson that I've gotten to know over the years, Andre Cisco. So I either have gotten to know them in college or I got to know them in Jacksonville, but I have built relationships. So I still miss Calais Campbell and AJ Boye. I still do. I still look at where their lockers were because they were just good guys. And that's the tough part of the game. And it's the thing that kind of breaks your heart. But at the same time, you want everybody to eat. You want them to do well. And I just hope somebody else comes in with the type of faith and work and smile and love and joy that Marvin Jones brought to the team, because he brought a lot to our team that went beyond the statistical analysis of it all. And I'm going to miss his leadership. So I hope Christian takes those reins. I hope Zay takes those. Zay and I talked about what. There was one interview we talked about God for 8 minutes. We a little bit of football, a whole lot of bit of God. So, and I've seen what it's done to this team. The fact that they love their coach, they love each other, and they work together. And they said, one of the guys said to me, I think it was Marvin that said it to me. He said, when your head coach brings their own chaplain to, when they did a prayer for the team, he's like, when Doug Peterson brings his own person to come there, he's like, that says something about your coach. So that was really, really cool. Brendan and I promised we'd talk about NIL and MLB, and we've talked about great stuff, but everything else. So let's jump into Major League Baseball here quick before we do a little bit on the NIL. Your thoughts on the baseball world? What do we get here? Greg said, number 2 of our generation after one solid year, very bold, but we will see. I'd put my money on Burrow or Allen over 1 year of Lawrence, but then again, what do I know? Hey, listen, man. I didn't say that Joe Burrow isn't going to be special, and I didn't say, neither did Brendan. Nor did
he will be. He definitely will be.
Nor did we say Josh Allen.
He definitely will be.
All Brendan said was, in his opinion, it's Mahomes and Lawrence over time. And we'll see if that be true. Josh Allen is a tremendous quarterback. And he did not look like what we thought he would look like down the line. And that's something that, you got to pay attention to. And Trevor, and I love when people say Trevor had one good year. Most rookie quarterbacks struggle. He was on the last team in the NFL, 32 of 32, with a coach that would rather break dance with someone who's old enough to be his daughter than come home and have a time with his team. You got Urban Meyer as your head coach. You got the 32nd team in the NFL who's reeling. They don't have an offensive line. There's no quarterback that was going to go in there and be successful right off the bat. And his numbers were still pretty damn good when you look at, what he was doing and the yardage that he got and the games that, he was trying to do certain things at the end when you got to throw the ball. So I find it interesting that people dog Trevor Lawrence for his freshman year, because most people's freshman year, you brought it up, I usually do. Peyton Manning's freshman year looked eerily the same. Had way more interceptions than Trevor had, and I think they won one game. So yeah, I just find it funny that people. Do you think Trevor's gonna be okay? Yeah, I do. I think he'll be fine. Give him an offensive line.
He's gonna win multiple Super Bowls.
So
he will win multiple Super Bowls. I will say that right now.
Yeah, and listen, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow. There's a bunch of guys out there.
They're each gonna get one at some point.
That are up there.
They'll each get one.
And I love Josh Allen. There was a couple head scratchers that happened this year with Allen, and it was unfortunate. There were some games where you just thought that Cincinnati game in the snow that played right into Buffalo's hand, and Buffalo was out of that game in the first quarter. So it's weird. But let's get to Major League Baseball quick. Murph, what do you got for me in the Major League world?
Well, while we were just talking right there, it literally just came across my screen right now.
Yeah.
Pablo Lopez just got a 4-year extension from the Minnesota Twins. So that is a nice little piece of breaking news for him. And I'll, briefly mention that trade real quick that the Twins and Marlins made in the offseason. Talk about a trade that was, at first I thought it was a head scratcher, because I'm shocked that Miami got only Luis Arias for Pablo Lopez plus.
Yeah.
But it's worked out well for both teams. Like, Luis Arias just hit for the cycle. I mean, he's hitting like 470 or something stupid in the first, 2 weeks of the season. And Pablo Lopez is pitching like the ace we all thought he was in Miami. So that trade has been a win-win for both teams so far. Only problem is the Marlins lineup just can't really hit for power outside of Jorge Soler. But that was just an interesting one. I apologize. I'm fighting off allergies right now. It's that time of year where they get really bad. I get like this maybe 2 or 3 times a year, so if I sound a little stuffy, that's why. Um,
Yeah, Lord knows that
but
I've gone through plenty of that. So
we all have.
yeah,
Um, but how about your Diamondbacks leading the NL West? How about that? I mean, their pitchers look good. I
yeah,
mean, their bullpen, I mean, the lineup's been eh.
yeah,
Actually, wait, that's 2022. I want 2023. So, I mean, Josh Rojas is hitting really well. He's hot. He's hitting over 350 for the year so far. Christian Walker's your big power guy, but he's not really hitting for much power. The guy that stands out is your top prospect, Corbin Carroll.
yeah.
He has mashed so far this year. Already has 17 hits, 4 home runs, 8 RBIs, 6 steals. So steals we've seen are quite a bit up with introducing the new larger bases and the 2 disengagement rule.
Yeah.
So he's been a big dividend to that. Only thing that worries me with him, he's got a 288 batting average, but his on base is only 300. He has 0 walks in 60 plate appearances. That's not good. And he's already struck out 15 times. So that's a little worrisome, if you ask me.
Yeah.
But as far as the pitching staff, Merrill Kelly has looked great. Ryan Nelson has looked pretty solid for them. And Zach Gallen has been the ace they've been, expecting. He's probably the guy who's pitching the best. His fielding independent pitching is about 2.83. For those that don't know, fielding independent pitching is basically a way of measuring a pitcher's performance, taking out park factors and fielder. So just based on purely how they pitch, taking fielding out of it. And another guy who just got moved to the rotation and has looked really good, and it was a prospect I've been high on for a while. Dre Jameson has looked really good for the Diamondbacks so far this year. Pitching to a 1.46 ERA. Made his first start over the weekend. I need a game log. I can't remember off the top of my head who he started against, but he looked really good. Oh, come on. I can't remember for the life of me who he pitched against. Here it was. Oh no, he's pitching against St. Louis on Tuesday. But he's looked pretty good. That's a really interesting team. Now, I'm not saying they're going to make the playoffs or anything. I think it's too early to tell. I think they're definitely going to need to do some stuff at the deadline.
Yeah.
With the lineup because their lineup is not that good, but they're just hitting right now. So they're going to probably hit a lull somewhere, mid-season, dog days, June, July. But if they make a couple of nice little trades and they got a good farm system that they can move guys out of, they could be a team that makes some noise. Now, they won't unseat the Dodgers. The Dodgers are still going to win the West. That's a given. But Diamondback's definitely a team that could sneak around for that final wild card spot. And another team they're going to be competing with is going to be the Phillies. And Phillies have not been good to start this season. Really have not. Their pitching staff has been atrocious. Their lineup, the guys are hitting, but their pitching has been so bad that they're allowing 6-7 runs a game, and you're asking the hitters to do a lot. That's not really on them as much as you would think. So I'm just peeking up here at let me get them on Baseball Reference here. I'm at the Phillies team statistics. Their lineup is hitting.
Yeah.
Their worst starter in their lineup is Jake Cave. He's hitting 205. So, I mean, that's not really a big deal. He's not a player that you would think is going to start. But they made a little move for Christian Pache before the season, who I think is a really interesting player. Phenomenal defender, has never really been known for his bat. Was a big prospect for the Braves. He went over to the A's in the Sean Murphy deal, and then found his way coming back to the Phillies. But Trey Turner's been great, has not hit a home run. I'm hoping he didn't hit them all in the World Baseball Classic, because I did trade for him in one of my big dynasty leagues. So that's unfortunate, but Bohm's hitting well. Bryson Stott's tearing the cover off the ball. Edmundo Sosa has been pretty good since he's been in the lineup. Brandon Marsh is hitting 370. Castellanos is even hitting okay. Schwarber's hitting his usual 230, 240, but getting on base a ton because he walks a lot, and he's got 4 home runs already. But it's the pitching. Nola's got a near 60 ERA. Wheeler's over 4. Bailey Falter's over 4. Taijuan Walker's over 4. Kimbrel at the back end of the bullpen has been terrible. He's blown. Does it say how many saves he's blown? He only has 1 save, so I'm assuming he's blown a couple. Gregory Soto hasn't been good. Connor Brogdon's been okay. And then Jose Alvarado's been decent, but they have not looked good at all. But a friend of mine's a big Philly fan. I was texting back and forth with him last night, and I said to him, I don't think that the Phillies are a bad team.
Yeah.
I just think their pitching is dealing with a World Series hangover right now, and the guys they brought in just weren't that good. Like Kimbrel's past his prime. We've kind of seen that. Now he had a little bit of a resurgence the last year or two. But, I mean, he had a point in his career where he was awful. Like, he wasn't even closing anymore. But then he went to the White Sox, and he started looking really good, and, he got to really figure things out again. But the Phillies are going to be an interesting story this year. Now, I was thinking it over when I was saying I was going to talk about the Phillies, and I'm thinking when it came to their team, like I was seeing all over Twitter, all over like TikTok and everything. It's like, did the Phillies even deserve to be in the World Series last year?
Yeah.
Based off the way they played in October, yeah, they deserved to be there.
Yeah.
But they were not the best team in the National League. I'll take that to my grave. They were not nowhere close to the best team in the National League. They just got red hot at the right time. And that's all it takes in October.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look back at like the 2015 Mets. I mean, that's my example because of the one that I use it for. They got red hot from the middle of September until the World Series. The World Series is when their bats cooled off. Yeah. So they got cold at the wrong time, but they got red hot at the right time. They beat a really good Dodgers team. They beat an outstanding Cubs team. And then they marched into the World Series and lost to the Royals, who probably the worst World Series winner in the last decade, and feels me to say that because my team lost to them, but it is what it is. The Mets are going to win the World Series at some point in the next few years here. I'm willing to bet. And they're off to a decent start too. I mean, they didn't look good against the Brewers. They got swept by the Brewers in Milwaukee, but they played the Marlins twice and the A's. So, I mean, yeah, the only good team they played, they got swept. And they've had kind of a cake schedule the rest of the way. But, this week it starts to get interesting. I mean, coming up, we go to L.A. Mets just called up Brett Beatty, so he will be with the team in L.A., who's been mashing in Syracuse, by the way. I was actually at the Syracuse Rail Riders game down in Scranton on Wednesday night. Oddly enough, until Saturday, that was the only game in the series where Beatty, Mauricio, it was the only game in the series where Beatty did not homer. So I was at the only game he did not hit a home run, but I got real close to him. I'm still a guy that'll go and try and get like autographs before games and stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm also not one of the ones that's going to shove kids out of the way. It didn't look like Beatty was going to sign anything, and I ended up waving him over because there was these two young kids next to me, probably maybe 8 and 7 or something like that. I will wave him over. I'm like, "Can you sign for the kids?" So he does. He comes over. There's like adults like that are like this one older guy that's really trying to like shove his way in. I'm like, "Relax, like let the kids go first." And I'm visibly like literally saying that. I'm holding my ball out to the side, like letting them. I kind of was like, all right, let the kids go first. Because I've actually found in my experience that when you do that, the player's more likely to sign your stuff because you're willingly letting the kids go first because that's who most of the guys are going to sign for.
Yeah.
Right. Like kids go to games, they want to sign their stuff. Absolutely. You want to toss them a ball and everything. That's what that's what guys will do a lot of times. So in Beatty's case, it didn't work. That's okay. No hard feelings against him. I asked him how his thumb was doing after the injury. He said he's doing pretty good. And then I told him hopefully we'll see you in New York here in short order. And he found a couple of other kids at the end of the line, and then he went into the dugout and looked pretty good in the game. But that's going to be a fun team to watch, though. I mean, you got Mauricio down there. You've got Mark Vientos down there who looks good. Danny Mendick hit an opposite field home run in the first inning of that game. And let me tell you something. It wasn't an easy pitch to hit either. I think it was an off-speed pitch that he hit out on the outside corner, and he just kind of flicked his bat out to right field, and it went over the fence. Yeah, it was a fun game, but I don't know who the heck was pitching for the Syracuse Mets in that game, but they did not look good. That was the only downside of that game. It was high scoring. Mets pitchers that they have down there are not that good. That's the only downside. But obviously, since a lot of your viewers are up at Syracuse, that's a fun team to go watch. So go watch them. Go see Mauricio. Go see Vientos. And, it's possible Alvarez might go back down. I mean, he's not hitting well at all in the major leagues.
Yeah.
I think their best bet would be to bring up Michael Perez as backup, let Nito start every day, and let Alvarez just play every day. Because if they're not going to play him every day, what's the point of having him in the majors right now?
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, listen, in the Syracuse, I think last season with the Syracuse Mets, there was at least 30 guys that had gone between the majors and the Mets and Syracuse Mets.
Always do.
And so to me, when you looked at the names on that list, I mean, you're spoiled for $7 to get into a game, whatever it may be.
Yeah.
To do something like that. I mean, the stadium is beautiful. The stadium genuinely looks like a Major League Baseball ballpark. It doesn't have the seating that you're going to find at, like Citi Field, but it has everything else. It looks the part. When you go there and you walk in there, I can't tell you how many times I sat there. I think I texted you when I had taken a picture, and I'm sitting there and I was like, this looks like a baseball stadium in the majors. It's pristine.
Mm-hmm.
So go.
Most of the minor league parks are, I say most of.
Well, like the Scranton Wilkes-Barre, they did a lot of work with theirs over the years, so I know that theirs is nice because I've been there. I mean, I've kind of been spoiled to go to two really nice stadiums, one in Scranton Wilkes-Barre with the Yankees and the other one here with the Syracuse
Were they
Mets.
the Yankees? Were they the Yankees yet when you were down there?
No,
or were they still the Red Barons at the time?
They were the Red Barons Phillies franchise. So I actually got to see 3 or 4 of the Phillies World Series winning players there.
You probably saw like Utley, Ryan Howard.
I saw Howard.
Jimmy Rollins.
Yeah, and there was, I feel like there was
maybe Cole Hamels.
Another guy that I saw.
But it's funny who else might have been on those teams.
Yeah, when I was going,
because I think I remember seeing those guys up there too when I was a kid.
When I was,
I went to a couple of Red Barons games before they became the Scranton Wilkes-Barre Yankees. Before they moved down to Lehigh Valley. And the great thing is, with where I work, I could walk to Coca-Cola Park from where I work and go see the AAA Phillies. So I only did that a couple of times last year. I'm going to probably do it more this year, even if I only go for a couple of innings. Like, I'll go after work. I'll watch a couple of innings of baseball and leave. Yeah, I'll buy a lawn seat for $9 and go hang around, have a beer or whatever, and watch some of the Phillies guys. I mean, Andrew Painter was a guy I was excited to maybe see down there for them, but he got hurt. So he's not going to be playing for a little while. But you see a lot of ex big leaguers in AAA that are at this point in their careers trying to make it back to the big leagues. So you'll see a lot of guys that'll catch on with the team and just play in AAA.
Yeah.
For the year.
And we got a message.
The Mets got it with.
No, I was going to say we got a message with Greg saying Charlotte Knights had a beautiful ballpark as well. I expect nothing less from one of my favorite cities in America, which is Charlotte, North Carolina, the Queen City. I do want to make a note really quick here, as promised, and I am a man of my word. We'll get into it more tomorrow with Dave Paziak, but how NIL and the transfer portal are changing college. We're seeing it firsthand in Syracuse with Jesse Edwards and the connection to the transfer portal and some NIL to it. Again, Jesse said to me clearly it wasn't all NIL related. People spoke for him. They continued to speak for him. I told him, Jesse, people are going to talk for you for the rest of your life, especially if you're going to be a professional athlete, and you just have to learn how to speak for yourself and shut out the noise. You can't be silent. You have to speak for yourself. You have to have the courage and the confidence to do that. But you have to understand that with doing that, people will continue to speak for you. But NIL and the transfer portal are creating collegiate free agency. It's ridiculous. I wish somebody could have warned you. I wish somebody could have told you. I wish somebody could have said it was going to... Oh, I didn't... Is it? Oh. But I wish somebody could have said something to you. But I believe I did. Go check the tape, fellas, ladies. Let's figure this out together. I found it really funny. The reason why I did this is because I was listening to Sirius XM last year, and I'm driving through the Pocono area, and the guy said on the show, whatever show it was, he said, raise your hand if you actually thought it was going to be as bad. I don't think anybody thought it was going to be this bad. And I was like, bro, who thought it was going to be different? There's no rules. There's no regulations. We'll get into more of it tomorrow. But Murph, I mean, listen, they said you can't do anything with money. Players can't get paid. Jim Boeheim lost 101 wins that had to do with a few different things, one of them including a few $100 that players made. Now, a player can make a $10 million contract, be 17 years old. This stuff is crazy. It is out of hand. They said you can use the transfer portal and NIL, but not together. But when the transfer portal opens, they call the player and say, what's West Virginia giving you? I'll give you 10 grand. Oh, well, they're giving me 14. Okay, let's see what we can do. The transfer portal and NIL are working together, that players are signing contracts in NIL which are connected to teams. It's not even that they're necessarily going and playing for the team. They're going and playing for the contract. Your thoughts on the fact that collegiate athletics is not collegiate athletics anymore?
You're right. You're absolutely right. And I have always thought that players should be allowed to make money off their name, image, and likeness, but not like this. So, like, you've heard the stories, like, there's a couple of guys on YouTube, like, Destroying, if anybody watches any of his stuff. He was a kicker for UCF, had a really successful YouTube channel, making money off of that, and basically was told that he can either delete his channel or not play college football. So he chose the latter. Good decision for him. Only problem is, I think he could be a kicker in the NFL right now.
Yeah.
And then you have a golfer. For anybody who watches any golf content, one of the guys from Good, Garrett Clark. I forget where he went to school, but he had same thing. Had his trick shot channel going at the time, and was told that he can't play. He can't play anymore unless he gives up the channel. So things like that, or in your, Cavender Twins case, or Livy Dunn, or any of these other guys that are, doing stuff on social media, that I'm okay with. Like, they should be allowed to make money from that.
Yeah.
However, where I draw the line is all these endorsement deals that the guys are getting. Like, you saw that, like, Bryce Young, before he even stepped on the field last year, was making $5-8 million in NIL money. off endorsements? No. Like, come on. That's where you start to call in for them being allowed to make money off social media. But I think endorsements is where I kind of draw the line. You shouldn't be allowed to do that until you get to the next level, NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball, whatever the case may be. And that's just somebody, I spoke as a former college athlete. Now, granted, I was not Division I, and I was not a player that would have gotten NIL money, but again, I am in the majority that think that guys on social media should be allowed to keep their channels, make money, because I'm sure that most of them, it would be great content. Like if Destroying would have been able to play college football for UCF and kick, I'm sure it would have been great content. His fans would have loved it. The team probably would have loved it. I'm sure the team would have wanted some sort of say in what he's hosting, and that's understandable. But I think that would have been great. But it's not going that way. You're seeing guys make tons of money and transfer somewhere because of that. You had even said the transfer portal and the NIL are not supposed to work together, right, but they are.
Yeah.
That's why endorsements and stuff like that should not be allowed. There should still be no bribing. There should still be no, hey, if you come here, we'll give you this endorsement deal. Yeah. No. You've seen so much of that in the transfer portal recently. It's not even fun.
That's what the transfer
and
portal
you're right.
is.
Transfer portal has become free agency.
It
really has. So I'm okay with guys wanting to transfer, and especially guys that are not playing.
Yeah.
Right. If you got a guy who's not starting somewhere and they're getting frustrated with their playing time, then they want to transfer and play next year. Sure.
Yeah.
That's fine. Got nothing against that. But at the same time, look at Caleb Williams and all the guys who defected from Oklahoma to USC.
Yeah.
That should not be allowed. Now, I know they wanted to follow Lincoln Riley, and I get that. But you should not be allowing these guys to just transfer at will just because they feel like it. It doesn't work that way. It's like I guess you can say it's a little bit like if you were to change jobs, but it's not an easy thing to change schools.
But the thing is, if you change jobs like my ex-wife, maybe. Lord, every year. But it's the reality of where is your commitment? Where is your responsibility? Where is your ability to respond to adversity? If you run from it all the time, you have to face things. You have to try. You might not be playing because you're not doing enough. You're not lifting enough. You're not running enough. You don't know the playbook enough. It's not just because somebody took it from me, Daddy, but we live in this society that everybody gets a trophy. Everybody's got a trophy. And it's created a society that sucks. This society sucks. America is what they are today because everybody got a trophy. You didn't get a trophy if you didn't win. I didn't get a trophy if I didn't win. Here's my trophy. Here's my trophy. Championship trophy right here in the studio. They gave me another one for participation that looked exactly the same. It's not in my studio. Brendan, I don't know where
Throw
it is.
Out.
I don't know where it is. I have no idea where it is because I don't care.
I hate participation trophies.
Right. But that's society now. That's society. That's why people suck now. Because we created a society where if you get first place, second place, 15th place, 27th place, if you just showed up and ate a popsicle and stood on the sideline, you get a trophy. No, I don't want it. I don't want a trophy. If I won a championship with my team and I didn't play a lick and they gave me a ring, yeah, I'm a part of their family, but I'd still look down at that ring and go, but I didn't play. I want it if I earned it. I didn't start a business because someone gave it to me. Nobody gave me anything. Nobody gave me and said, here's $1,000, go make your company. Here's a trust fund, go make your company. Nobody did that. You build it And then you reap the benefit of knowing that you built something, knowing that it's tangible, knowing that it's yours. Nobody gave me my degree from Marywood. Not like some of these schools that give these bogus degrees just to pretend that the kid's going to school because he's on your basketball team. I earned my degree. So I believe in that. I believe in earning. I don't believe in everybody gets a trophy. And that's why society sucks. The kids that have been getting the trophies for years and years and years, they're now the people in your workforce. They're the teenagers in high school and the people in college that you're now hiring to work at your company that aren't showing up, that are flaking out, that are on their cell phone, standing at the register, and everybody's wondering why these kids suck. Because you made them this way. Not all of them suck. There's fantastic people in teenagers and 20-year-olds. I get to meet high school kids all the time that blow me away at how beautiful, wonderful, and incredible their spirits are. There are so many good people, but it's how you're raised. When a kid comes to me and says, Dan, I don't want a trophy for 15th place, high five. But you got another kid that took a trophy for 15th place, that kid is going to be one of the worst employees that you will ever have down the line. Because they have been told that if they show up, they get a trophy. And nobody should do that. No one should get that. You do not get a trophy for showing up in life. Absolutely not. If you suck as a human being, God doesn't go, well, at least you tried, but just... No, you got to do good things. You have to be a good person. You have to come to work. You have to be on time. You have to do something to give back to society. You don't get a trophy for just being there. It's ridiculous. I can't be president of the United States because I walk to Washington, D.C. and I knock on the White House door and go, I think I'm president. And they go, well, if you think you are, then you are. No, that's stupid.
Oh, that's what people think these days.
But that's what it is. They think that you can walk into Apple and say, I'm the new CEO. Why? Because I think I am. So then the current CEO goes, well, if you think you are, they get out of their chair, they hand you their paycheck, and they go home. No, that's not how life works. Eventually, everybody gets hit with the reality of life. If you don't work for it, you're not going to get it. And if you get it when you don't work for it, somehow you're not going to sustain it. The only way to be successful in life is to do the work. There's no other way to do it.
And let's imagine. Let's imagine that this water bottle right here. Actually, I'm going to use this one because this one's not cold. Because I'll throw those into the fridge later. Let's imagine that this water bottle is that 15th place trophy.
Exactly.
That's what I would do with it.
Yeah.
You know. So when I coached with my dad, when my dad and I coached 3rd and 4th grade basketball when I was in middle school, 7th or 8th grade, I was coaching then. We had to give out participation trophies because that's basically what they made us do.
Yeah.
We didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
Our kids hated it because we taught our kids that, listen, we want to win. We go out, we play to win the game. Thank you, Herm Edwards. He played to win the game. And listen, if you lose, you come in second, you want to get a runner-up trophy? All right, yeah, you got to the championship. You're the runner-up, sure. Maybe even 3rd place. That's where you get like a bronze medal. Anything more than that, forget it. No. I mean, we're coddling these kids, and this is the problem with society right now. You are allowing these kids to do whatever they want.
And
there's no authority anymore. There's no authoritarians in their lives.
Right. That's
why the parents are soft.
That's why the good parents out there I commend, and I've met so many of them in Central and Upstate New York. And thank you to my Central and Upstate New York parents that I spend time with your kids all the time, from from Liverpool, from Beeville, from CNS, CBA, ESM, FM, Baldwinsville, to all. I mean, literally, the ones that I come into contact with have been tremendous. And I wish that those kids could I want them to reach out to other kids and help other kids, because there's things that I see that just make me sad. But Brendan and I have plenty to talk about. We'll bring it to you as we come up here, and we got draft stuff to talk about next week. Murph, I appreciate you as always. Thank you for the conversation today. It flowed by. I barely feel like the show started. I feel like it just said, welcome to Wake Up Call. So thank you for that.
Always does.
I know. And I look forward to talking with you soon, buddy.
Sounds good, DT. We'll see you in a couple of weeks.
All right.
Almost draft season.
Yes, sir. Thing called Life. A month, DT. Andrea is coming up next in 2 mics, no filter.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade, regular, or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
Cafe Cabal offers same-day local delivery of our products, offering no delivery charge for Onondaga County. Shop cafecabal.com for fresh roasted coffee beans, cold brew, travel mugs, and all your essential Cafe Cabal needs. Cafe Cabal, coffee for the soul.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios, hanging out with you where sports meets that thing called life. We appreciate you being here every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Appreciate your patience. Today, Murph and I were set to talk about Major League Baseball, name, image, and likeness in the transfer portal, and we went to many different places this morning, which is all good, but that meant that we had to give a little bit of time here in the second hour before Andrea came on. So we're happy to have Miss Andrea Smith here with me. 2 mics, no filter. She's going to yell at me that she had to wait, but I'm very happy to have her here. Andrea, how are you?
I'm good. I don't, I definitely am more of a punctual person myself, but that's okay.
We were punctual. We were doing the show. We just, I don't want to cut off somebody, as I will not cut you off. I can't cut off somebody once we're going.
I agree.
So,
I agree.
So we are here today to talk about a lot of different things, and dating apps, relationships, tackling life, the wonderful things that happen. I have a few stories. I know you had some things that have happened over time. I don't know where you would like to start, but I guess the best place for me to start is to let people know that I have a very happy thing that's coming up. And that is of Tuesday, April 18th, 2023. I will officially break my ties with dating apps. It's kind of like having a bunch of hats out like they do for college. And it's like, where am I going to go? And I take all the hats and I just throw them all. I'm not wearing any of them. So normally they pick one, knock the other ones off. My hats are going off the table. I will not be wearing any hats of any dating apps. I will not be choosing any of them. I will be proudly choosing myself and none of them, as the dating app world will not see me again after April 18th. I'm very proud of that.
Yeah, so that's like tonight at midnight.
Yeah, tonight at midnight.
Yeah. So what happens? So they send you a note that says, hey, you've got to pay for your account, or does it just automatically delete?
You can cancel it, and then they'll say, like, hey, you paid until this day. So, once this day's over, you're gone, but you're free to use it up until that point. I don't like dating apps. My relationship with dating apps has been very, not great.
Not good so far. So what I'm hearing, not good.
No, I can honestly tell you that everyone I've used, I found at least one crazy person. I have found, I found an extremist in religion. I have found a woman who stares at the wall. I have found somebody who, on my family show, I can't discuss exactly what she said to me, but it made me wonder if she understood what science means. And so that was one. I'm trying to think. One. Then there was one girl who wanted to show up for a day and get the relationship experience in 24 hours and then disappear. That was a hot no from me. I'm not that type of dude. I value myself. So I can honestly say that
I don't know girls like this. So this is like, it's so weird.
Hey, Andrea, you say you don't know any women like this, but I've met only women like this. So it's been basically, I'm getting off of dating apps, and I'll tell people why. I am getting off of dating apps because it's making me disappointed in the American society. And I want to get off the apps because I want to believe that people are better than what I'm seeing.
Some of the stuff you've told me that have happened on dating apps or the things that women say, I cannot help but feel like there's a lot of people have been like traumatized from bad relationships. It seems like, so they come on these dating apps and they have all these preconceived notions about how men are or how women are or whatever. And then the other thing is, I also believe like TV and stuff is, and now listen, you're talking to someone who loves TV, but TV and stuff has almost desensitized people to
100%.
Moral behavior or normal dating behavior, like kind of waiting it out and seeing like, do you like this person? Do you have a spark? Whatever. I feel like there's that. I think that the TV desensitized, but I also think that women are they're in this such feminist era of tell people what you want in a relationship and all these things that it's almost like they're overcompensating and doing weird things, like weird sexual things, like just weird things that I feel like they're not things that happen in normal everyday society.
No, and I've been witnessing really weird conversations. Like conversations that start out very physical to a place of like, why are you saying this to, like, you don't know me? And I mean, like, it's happened more than once where a woman, the first time she talks to you, it's like very sexual. It's all this stuff. It's like what she wants. What about this? What about that? And then the next day, it's very like argumentative and very matter of fact. And you better tell me what I want to hear or else. So it's like on Monday, she's super sexual and fun. On Tuesday, she is looking at every word you said like a stenographer, trying to find something wrong with what you're saying. And I have two examples. If you'll oblige me, I'll give you the first one. I wrote them down so that I could have them ready for us. But I had to write down my thoughts to be prepared for something such as this because they were very uniquely strange. So I want y'all to hear me and watch Andrea's face. Hear what I'm saying. Look at her.
I'm ready.
So this is the.
I'm ready.
Two mics, no filter here on Wake Up Call with Andrew Smith, myself, Dan Tortora, aka DT. Here we go. So the first one that I have was, let me get into this here. Why is this making life difficult? Here we go. Okay. So this is the first one. This was a girl who did not believe in God. And so she didn't believe in God. She was trying to, from the start of our conversation, she was trying to find something wrong with me because she's a very analytical person that finds something wrong with everybody. So she doesn't believe in God, wanted to discuss why I do believe in God and kind of figure it out. Well, she was like the 14th girl that doesn't believe in God between the age of 20 to 40 that I've dealt with. And I just didn't want to talk about it anymore. I was tired. Right. You know, I was exhausted. I don't want to talk about why I am who I am. I want to talk to you about you.
Okay, not to jump in here, but here's what I don't understand. I have a feeling that your profile says something along the lines of, I love God or I believe in God, somewhere in there, right? So if I'm scrolling around on my dating app and I'm looking for guys that I might potentially have something with, because listen, for the most part, I think people are on there because they're hoping to find somebody. you would think.
Or attack somebody. Yeah. But yeah.
Whatever. But why would you, like, I would keep it moving. Like, if I saw somebody that was like, if I did not believe in God, and there's a guy who says, I really love God, or I really believe in God, I would know right off the bat, that's probably not going to be a match for me.
Yeah. So this
Don't swipe, like, or whatever the swipe is, however it works. Like, just don't pick that person.
And I don't push it. But
Okay.
she had asked me that day,
Mhm.
and I was over it. Society,
Okay.
I was just talking about it with Brendan and DT and Murphy. Society has lost its mind because every kid was given a trophy. Those kids are getting older now, and it's messing with society. So
Sure.
when I look at where we are, and you're dating and you're trying to talk to these people, it's like, tell me what you believe, and then I'm going to tell you what you're supposed to believe. And you can normally tell in a conversation with someone that, like Andrea and I, for example, you and I are different in some areas, we're similar in others. But where we're different, we've never combated each other, we just have a conversation. Right? So when you're having these conversations with these people, you don't feel that way. You feel like they're asking you so that they can tell you how wrong you are. And that's where it was going. And so it was later at night. It was like 10 o'clock at night. And I just started going. And I feel bad that I monologued in the sense of I talked, she really didn't. I didn't mean for that. She hit me at a time where I was sick and tired of defending God. I was really upset with society. I was really upset with things that were going on in general, just in law and things that are happening. And how the world has kind of just become do whatever you want to do and don't get in trouble for it. So she hit me at a time where I was beating the pulpit, announcing that I'm going to run for president after the fact. And I didn't say anything bad. I stuck up for myself, and I was just tired. I was exhausted. I just found out my friend had passed away. The last thing that I want to do in the world is defend God's honor with anybody, especially a stranger. So at the end of the conversation, I'm tired, and it didn't even have to do with my friend passing away. It was just like, bro, there's real things going on in life. Like, why don't we just go on a date and see if we like each other? Do we get along? Like, I don't want to text you and talk on the phone for hours with you psychoanalyzing me. So
well, and like to feel that you've even had to go into a monologue per se anyway. Like, at what point do you just like, you know what? I don't really want to talk to you.
Yeah. So that's kind of where I was at. And then she says to me, well, I have a therapist. And I said, okay, good. Spoiler alert, not surprised. And there's nothing wrong with having a therapist. But she tells me this, which I find wrong. And I've said this to people before. There is absolutely nothing wrong with going to a therapist as long as you learn something. Because people say, well, I go to a therapist. That doesn't mean anything. If you go to a therapist, but you don't retain the information and you don't work on it, if you don't work on yourself, you can go see somebody every week. It doesn't make you better. You can go see the doctor every week. The doctor says, stop drinking soda. And you keep drinking soda, but you see the doctor every week, and now you're 400 pounds. I mean, the reality is you got to do the work, even if you go to see somebody. And she tells me this, Andrea. She said that my therapist told me that it's okay to have a list of people that you want to date, to have a list of what they need to have. But I found that in my time as a therapist, the rule of 8, where you can have 8 things on your list, but no more than 8. If you have more than 8, it's too much. And at that point, we gotta talk about getting your list down. Well, she went to this lady. She had well more than 8. She didn't tell me how many she had, but if I had to guess, I'd say 22 at a bare minimum. And she says to the therapist, here's my list. It's more than 8. I'm not changing it. I'm going to tell you, therapist, why I'm right and you're wrong. So when you start to tell a therapist that you're better than the therapist, that's not usually the way to run the road. And then that came off into how she talked to me. Then she looked at our astrological signs. She sent me a graphic chart of the breakdown of all of our astrology, how we are sexually, communicative, overall, like all of these things. And
what were your signs?
She was a, I forgot her already. She was a Leo? and I'm
Okay.
a Libra.
Okay.
So, anywho, so she checks all this stuff out, sends me a picture of the graphic chart, and then said to me, well, if the chart said that we weren't good together, I would just ignore it and pretend it doesn't exist. And if it says we do, then I'm going to say yay us. And I don't know. It just got into this like mathematical, statistical breakdown analysis where I felt like every time this girl was on the phone with me, she was sitting on her couch with her notebook going, yep, that, not that, watch that, not that, not that. And every day she was kind of like scoring me, almost like I'm in practice, going, well, today you got a 65, yesterday you got a 93. That averages out to you being somewhere in
Did you
the.
ever go on a date?
No, we talked
Oh.
twice. And she said to
Oh,
me,
this all was in 2 phone calls?
this was in 2 phone calls, Andrea. In the first phone call, she's like, I was laughing harder than I ever laughed. The second phone call, she's like, I shook. And I was like, you shook? Because I talked about God? She's like, I was shaking. I said, you're not Tina Turner, okay? We're not playing this game. But
Right.
she went through this whole thing with me, and then she's like, can we talk? And she called me in the afternoon. She's like, I don't think we should go on our date. And I was like, me neither. And I don't feel like women or men know what to say when they like try to lay the hammer on you, and you're like, I don't want to go.
Weird.
Yeah.
This is super weird to me because like I understand if you let's make a made up scenario.
Yeah.
So let's say you have an ex or whatever from a long time ago, you're younger, you've reconnected and you're older. So there's already some sort of connection there, right? But then you start kind of going in through these topics that are your non-negotiables on dating, and then you start having problems, whatever. So then the next day, that ex says, hey, like, can we talk? Like, I don't really like the way that ended. Like, can we talk? I understand that because there's a level of connection, chemistry, history, caring about the person.
Yeah.
What I don't understand is if you've only talked on the phone 2 times, you have this falling out. It's like, clearly you guys are not a match. Yeah. I mean, these are major subjects that you cannot, whatever. Yeah. Why on earth, unless people are just so freaking desperate for love, would you like even reach out to the guy and be like, can we talk?
Yeah. And she wanted to talk.
And it's also rejection. I don't think she wanted to be rejected.
Well, the thing is like she said, I don't think we should go on a date. This is not the first time I've responded this way to a woman that was trying to exert control over me. She's like, well, I don't think we should go. And I was like, me neither. And I think what she wanted me to say was, no, like, let's work it out. And
that's what I meant. No, that's what I meant about the rejection piece. It's almost like, well, they like the attention so much of having somebody to talk to that they're like, wait a second, maybe I should reach out and just see, is he still feeling me? Whatever.
Yeah, I didn't care. And I literally sat at my kitchen table. I ate soup. And while I was eating soup in silence, I was just getting basically scolded by this stranger. And I remember sitting there going, Dan, just hang up the phone. Just hang up the phone.
Yeah.
Just hang up the phone.
Gotta go.
Like 20 minutes of, let me tell you why you're wrong. And, blessings to you. Blessings to you, lady. But, I mean, that's a lot of what I met. A lot on these dating apps, it's been women that are over-sexualized. It's women that are exerting control because they didn't have it in a past relationship.
I don't even think they're over-sexualized in real life, just so you know. Like, I have to bet. Like,
Andrea,
I think that they're, like, no, like, I don't even think that's who they are as people. No. They're just trying to be what they think people are looking for because, the dating apps, some of them are known for, like, hookup sites or whatever. I feel like everybody is just such a shell of themselves in this world anyway. Yeah. And I think the dating and the dating apps and all of it just magnifies it because, people don't meet the way they used to, or they don't connect the way they used to. And I mean, it's a messed up world we're in general, but like,
yeah, it is.
The dating world is completely messed up based off of
the
way people.
But this is the thing now. It's the female list. It's the. I don't know if men have it. Maybe some of us do, but it's the female list that I can only speak on from my perspective. It's it's a woman telling you, you have to meet all of my requirements. And the only thing I can say to anybody, man, woman, or child that thinks this way, is you will never find what's just for the sheer reason of God being God. God will give you all of it, and then the guy will cheat on you. It's not, you can't live life going to the grocery store, picking up your groceries. And I have had multiple women tell me, this is my list. I'm not going to tell you it. It's an invisible list that you're not allowed to know what's on it, but I'll let you know if you're failing. And that is the most unattractive thing. That makes me feel like a eunuch. If you talk to me about a list...
Male or female now. Male or female. It's okay to have things in your life that maybe based off your past experiences are non-negotiables for what you want out of a mate.
Of course.
Right? Like, that's okay to have. I think the world, it's funny, I think it's probably funny for listeners to hear a woman say some of the things I say, because I definitely don't, there are things about me that maybe skew slightly feminist, but there's things that mostly don't. Like, I don't think that, and I know men like this is what I'm saying, like, I know men who are in relationships that they're not really deeply loved. You can tell they're not deeply loved. But I think women are taught, you just want to be chosen. You just want to get married. This is what you're supposed to do with your life. The man is supposed to worship their wife, all these things, right? Like, I don't think there's a lot of people out there that don't seem to be super in love. Maybe on the flip side of that list, because they're going off a list. Like, on paper, it looks really good that this person or this person is your person, right? Yeah. But if you're not deeply connected and in love, and I've seen so many podcasts about this, and I know we talked about this once before, that there's this guy I listened to, and he said 80% of people that end up getting married are not deeply connected to their spouse and probably did not marry the right person. But I think that the people on dating apps are probably desperately seeking, right? They want to get to that next phase in their life. Yeah. So partly from a woman's standpoint, there's a part of it's the feminist side, right? Where a man should worship me. And that's what society's telling me, that I need to put it out there, what I want, what I'll put up with. And I'm not going to put up with this, and I'm not going to put up with that, whatever. Yeah. But it's like, no one's taking the time to say, do you actually even have a connection?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because there's a lot of things on my list, which I don't even have one. You guys are going to say I don't have one. But if I had a list, there would be some things on the list that I think are negotiable, in the sense of, if I had a deep connection, deep love with somebody, there are things that suddenly may not be so black and white.
Yeah. So I'm going to tell you one that's on, and I didn't interact with this person, but
okay.
But there was one, I think I told you off there. There was a girl, she's 5'10", I'm 5'8".
Yeah.
And she had put, because you talk about that, like when you have a connection, the things that are negotiable. I don't care how tall or short a woman is. I don't have a short man complex. I'm not a short man. 5'8" is not short. If it was, I still wouldn't care. I don't have the Napoleon complex. And I don't care if a woman wears heels and she's taller than me, because most women that wear heels are taller than you, because if they're 5'2", they have 9-inch heels. But the reality of it all to me is, so this girl, 5'10", I'm 5'8", she's looking at my profile, I'm looking at her profile, she comes back and looking at my profile, I'm looking at her profile, but she doesn't like me on the thing that we can interact, and she writes in the thing, so I go down, I scroll down, and it says, I'm 5'10", I've dated guys taller and shorter than me. When I date someone shorter, I feel like Gaddafi's bodyguard, so give me 6'2" or higher, thanks. And I remember looking at that saying, I could never think that way, because and I do. I believe that God sends lessons. People could say nature or whatever you want to say it. I believe in God. But the lessons that are sent to you is, God's like, okay, I'll give you somebody that's 6'2". I'll give you somebody that's 6'5". And he'll cheat on you. Maybe he's got a wife somewhere else that you don't know about. He'll do something that is going to make me show you that you need to, that there's certain things like not wanting to be cheated on, wanting people to be honest. Those should be on everybody's list. But the reality of the height thing, I have a cousin who's significantly taller than her husband. She's gorgeous. They're both wonderful. And she's happy. And I said to her, I'm like, you're like one of 3 women ever that I've seen this. And she's like, I love them.
I know 2 people like this.
And I love that. And I shouted it out, because here's this girl that's 5'10" and I'm 5'8". We're obviously both attracted to each other, but she wouldn't pull that trigger because I got 2 inches shorter than she is and she needs 6'2" or higher. And I just kind of looked at it, laughed, and went on with my life. But I just find that to be something where it's like, I care more about the things that people have control over that they can change, because that shows me who you are. God made you a certain
character
height.
things.
Yeah, God made you a certain height. God made you a certain color. God made you your eyes a certain color, your certain background, whatever. But you get to choose how you treat people. And I would never look at a woman 5'10" or 5'1" and treat her any different. I treat her based on her personality.
Right. Yeah. I mean, listen, I think that there's a nice thing about dating apps, and that's that you can put it out there of like what you're looking for, and easily, like almost like skipping a blind date and going into the second date, because you know right off the bat, like this person does this, and this, and I'm interested in those things. Yeah. But I think when dating apps first came out, it was much more for what are your interests? What are your hobbies? Would we like to take a long walk on the beach together? Like that's what it seems like it started out. And now it's this whole list of, I only date men with, and this is a lie because I don't, but whatever. I only date men with blue eyes, or I only date this, or I only date, you know what I mean?
Which is very Nazi Germany, by the way. But.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I just don't know. Like what are,
like if a woman says I only date
really lost wanting to be in love.
Well,
I feel like the old school wanting to be in love is gone. Like people aren't.
It is. People are literally shopping. They're grocery shop. When you say as a woman or a man, I'm looking for blonde hair, blue eyed only. So was Hitler.
Have you ever had anybody in your past? And I want to say maybe you told me no to this. I feel like maybe we talked about this a little bit. Yeah. Have you ever had anybody from your past that like you deeply loved, had a deep connection to, like timing was off, age, I'm making stuff up, whatever, something went wrong, somebody had to move, this, that, and the other. Yeah. Like, have you ever had somebody in your past that was like a deep connection where you look back and you think, you know, if I could get a second chance with that person, like, I think that we have such a connection that our lives would have been great?
I can say in response to your, do I have somebody in the past that, you know, if we met today, things would be better. I did think that about some people over time. I don't think that anymore. I'm grown. I've grown up these last few years because I've made myself kind of go through the heavy lifting and still have plenty of heavy lifting to do. And God knows it. I don't look back on any past relationship and think, oh, well, if this happened or we did this way or maybe this. I've honestly like cut ties with all of it. Like I've detached from all of it in a way that I don't want to go back.
I think that's who you are though.
Right.
Because you said like your friends like said that you're like the delete Dan or whatever, like whatever.
Yeah, I
think that's who you are, because I actually think you're the minority on this. I think that there's a lot of people out there.
Yeah, I had a friend that was a total jerk and you know, we're not friends anymore, but he would shame me for getting rid of toxic people in my life. Because he thought,
I actually wish I was that way. I'm not that way. Yeah. And I wish that I was able to just be very detached and like, whatever, this was this way or this was that way. And that's why they're that way. And I'm out. Like, I'm not that way.
This is how
being hurt.
Well, I became this way because you get hurt, you learn. I was the type of person where I trusted everybody. I gave everybody the benefit of the doubt. And now, instead of trusting you right off the bat, I pay attention. I pay attention to what you do and how you do it and what you say and how you say it. Let me tell you something. The easiest way to know that you should not be around somebody is when their words are here and their actions are here or here and here.
Agree.
If they don't match each other, you stay away. When somebody tells you what they are and who they are and what they're about, and they don't show you that is a giant determinant. And it could be the smallest thing. It could be a person saying, I'm always on time, but then they're never on time. Or somebody saying, I'm a really good driver, but then you get in the car with them and you feel like you're on Andretti racing and you never feel safe. When someone tells you who they are, you have to believe them. And you have to understand. People will show you the truth. And once they do, you have to make up your mind about that. Because I stayed in relationships where women constantly told me all the things that they weren't. but all of their actions were the opposite. And when a woman looks you in the eye and says, I don't talk to other guys, I'm not going to cheat on you, I'm not going to do these things, but then she's doing those things, it doesn't matter what you say, it matters what you do. And people can't live with that, because if they did, they would get out of the relationships, and God forbid they'd have to be alone. But you have to realize when someone doesn't match their actions or words together, that is the biggest red flag that you need, is somebody telling you, oh, I love my mom, and then they're screaming at their mom on the phone. If they are not
or
honest,
I love you, or I love you,
yeah.
And then their actions clearly don't make you feel loved. I mean,
Yeah.
a red flag never turns green. And I'm not saying people don't change. I'm just saying that, you know, those gut feelings that you feel about something, or that something doesn't feel right. And listen, it doesn't have to be bad things. It doesn't have to be like, oh, somebody told you they're this way, and then they go out and blatantly lie to you. It's not even, it doesn't even have to be that. If a red flag in a relationship is simply that you don't feel the kind of love you think you should feel, or you don't feel a certain type of way about them, or even like those are red flags for your gut of even who you are. And I think that people ignore, because it's not even they don't want to be alone. It could be kids. It could be, you know, like if you're married, like it could be finances. It could be lots of reasons. It could be that, you know, you're having a bad day with your mate or your spouse or whatever. And then the next day you wake up and everything's fine. You know what I mean? Like deep down, though, those red flags of a relationship, good, bad, you know, like I said, doesn't have to be bad stuff. But either way, those types of things I just don't think ever go away. And every time you have a moment to re-see it, like, because you can't unsee what you've seen, you know? Yeah. And every time you have a moment to re-see something, it's like you resent the other person. And it's like that in itself also is a reason it's not going to work out. And that's why we have people out there that are in relationships longer than they should be. And then they finally come out of the relationship and they're scarred. Or they're desperate.
Yeah.
You know, they're desperate to find somebody quickly so that they can get back into playing house or whatever they're doing. Yeah. You know, which is a lot of what it seems like on these dating apps. There's a lot of desperation, and there's a lot of people, you know, like setting rules and stuff. You know, in the early 2000s, late 90s, there were books out there, right, called The Rules. And that's when, before the rise of like feminism and all that, when women would be like, okay, you know, the book says, don't text him first, wait for him to text you, or he will miss you if you do this or do that, right? So like there's this whole big divide of how women were taught in my age, sometimes I feel like, to get a husband. Yeah. And now there's women that are angry because they did those things and they didn't get what they wanted. Yeah. And now they've got this list of how they're going to go back and they're going to change the game.
The problem is,
I think I just nailed it, to be honest with you.
They did. And the problem,
I think Dr. Phil should have me on to talk about this, because I actually think I just nailed the issue. I think women are so pissed off that they played a weaker role in their relationships 20 years ago, that they're just willing to go out there and like take every man down for the role they played.
But that's the thing. That's the thing. I truly believe, from my dating experience, and I can't speak for men, women, whatever in that, I can only speak from my experience. Women have been on a world tour of just slashing men, just cutting tires and writing their name inside, you know, etching their name in the cushion of the car seat. I mean, it has literally become a world of, I'm going to pay you back. And it's like, wait a minute. If Roger, Steve, and Pete did this to you, honey, I didn't do it. And Roger, Steve, and Pete, you didn't deal with them back in the day. And that's, you know what, that's whatever. You didn't say what you needed to say back then. But there's this over course correction of saying, you know, as women, we've been left, we've been lied to, we've been cheated on, we've been treated like a rag doll, whatever it's been. So now we're going to do the same thing to men. But what they're not realizing is they're mad that men hurt a good woman, but now their course correction is to hurt a good man, which is going to create more bad men, because men that are good men have three choices. Same thing with good women. One, you can start paying women back for all the hate that they do. So you, instead of being a good man, you become a bad one. Two, you lock yourself in your house and say, screw it, I don't even want to talk to humanity. Or 3, you stay good. It's the hardest one to do. It's the one I've chosen. I have never tried to give back to a woman what she gave to me or what somebody else gave to me to pay it forward. That's not who I am. If I'm going to pay it forward, I'm going to pay it forward with love, respect, compassion, kindness, empathy. I'm not going to pay it forward by taking a pile of my dog's poop and putting it on your front door. But that's what I feel like I get now. I understand equality in jobs. I understand equality in pay. I understand equality in running for office. I understand all of that. But when a woman tells me that I'm subordinate to her because men historically have been above her, that is not my problem. That is not my life. I am not responsible for those people. I did not do it to you. I am not apologizing for them. But what I've found in these dating apps over the last 5 years is that women are really angry at men and they're trying to put us in our place, but they don't even know who I am, and they're putting me in a place that I didn't earn to be put in, which is scary.
Right. Well, in society, like I said, we're in a different place than we were 20 years ago. Society is constantly telling women that if you're a good woman, you're going to have all these things, and that's unfortunately not human nature. There are people that hurt you. And I think I posted an old clip this morning, actually. There's people that hurt you that deeply have no intention of hurting you. It's just how the story goes. And it doesn't mean that everybody's a bad person. It means that sometimes things just happen the way they do. Yeah. But I do think that women are holding grudges to those types of things, and they feel the world is out to get them. I think our society politically is not helping the matter. I think that, not about like the current president, nothing like that. I mean, like in general, like the constant, I would say that I guess the constant fight back. There's a lot of fight back going on with women in America right now, I think. And rightfully so. There are things that, people have every single right to voice their opinion about and fight back to or whatever. But I think when it comes to love, people have really lost that love is supposed to be kind, and love is supposed to be easy. And it's not saying marriage is easy. It's not saying relationships are easy. It's just supposed to be very easy to feel love and be loved by someone. And I think people in general have really lost sight of that. They want to be loved so bad that they either accept things that they don't really want in their life, and then they resent it later on, and then everybody's pissed off and fighting. Or, they jump the gun and they just try to find love so bad that they end up sabotaging themselves by being crazy on these apps. It's actually really sad, because I think the fall in who people even are as people are willing to accept who they are is the fact that they're not willing to accept that, they're living a life they really don't even love.
Right. And the thing,
and a lot of that has to do with love.
Well, and the reality is whoever said love is war is a jerk, because it's not.
It shouldn't be. It's not.
It's not supposed to be. And, I tell people this all the time. Love isn't hard. Life is hard.
People are hard.
I
think I posted something the other day. Love isn't complicated. No, people are complicated.
People are complicated. It's not that
people
hard.
overcomplicate it.
Right.
When you have that feeling with somebody and it's like an automatic thing, and you automatically love someone, people are constantly sabotaging themselves.
One of the greatest things that I've ever heard is what I heard recently. And there's a fun story behind it because I'm watching Ted Lasso again. Thank you.
Yay, me too. I'm on season 3. Keep going.
So, I don't know if you remember this, but Roy Kent, when the extremely gorgeous owner of their soccer team, their football club, she goes on a date, and they go on a double date with Roy and Keely, and they're like, "Oh, what did you think?" And Keely's like, "Oh yeah, like it's pretty good." And then the owner says like, "Oh, he was fine." He was fine. And Roy says, "F fine." He said, you're not worth, he said, "F fine, you deserve to feel like you've been struck by lightning. Anything less than that,
I could not agree more.
Anything less than that is not worthy of you." He said, "F fine, you deserve to be struck by lightning. And anything less than that doesn't matter." And I remember sitting there going, I agree.
People are settling in their lives,
Yeah.
Dan. They are settling in their lives.
We deserve to
And
be
that's
struck
the
by lightning
thing.
in a good way.
Yes, but they're settling for good enough, and then they wonder why, 20 years down the road, they're staring across the table to somebody that they like a whole lot, they care about, but like they don't have a deep love or connection for. And that you see this a lot, that when the kids get older, all of a sudden couples will split up.
Yeah.
And it's like, whoa, you guys have been together 20 years. Like, how did that happen? This is why. Because they don't want to end up in situations like we tell them about with these dating apps, your stories, these crazy things. So they settle with a guy or a woman that just likes them a whole lot, whether they feel that way or not. That is a great clip from that show because it's dead on.
You deserve to feel like you've been struck by lightning, because people will be, oh, I'm not attracted to her, but she makes me laugh. Well,
she's a good person and she's a good mom. Yeah. So, she's got a great job and she's a great mom. So this is how I'm going to spend my life, and listen, that's great. And you shouldn't want to hurt people or whatever. But at some point in your life, before it's too late, you also need to grab the reins and say, is this really enough? Do I want to live my life with regrets? Do I want to, there are people that probably should have just stayed friends, but they're spending their lives together. And that's great too, if that's what they truly want.
And
but if it's not what you truly want, you're never going to get younger.
No.
Every day, you're just getting older. And at some point in your life, I don't care who you are, if this is how you feel now, if you're in that situation, at some point in your life, whether you're 75 or 45, there's going to come a judgment day where you wake up one day and it's no longer enough. Now, what you do about it's your decision.
Yeah.
But
and I think one of the biggest things is people are terrified of being hurt. And when you feel that feeling, when you get struck by lightning and you want that person so bad, most people run away from that because they would rather have the power to say, I don't think we should go on a date. I don't think it's going to work. They'd rather have the power to turn it off than, God forbid, they get in a relationship with that person and that person leaves them, because it would devastate them. Most people will never go.
Men run a lot.
What'd you say?
I think men run a lot from these situations.
But I can tell you that I've seen it on the other side. I think men and women
run. Oh, I know you have. And we've talked about this, how you're more of a relationship type of guy. Like, you were different at a young age. You could have settled down at a young age if that was the right fit for you. You know what I mean? You're definitely not the norm in that sense. I mean, I have seen successful men who claim to want love and all these things. And when they have been presented with somebody that could have been their soulmate, they will run. And I have seen men regret that 10 years later or whatnot. You know what I mean? So
I am the stark
and at that point, you can't fix it. You know what I mean? But I have seen people be terrified. And listen, a lot of that, I think with a man, often when they are that way, I think a lot of that comes from probably childhood traumas, maybe, relationship with their mothers or fathers or whatever. But I do think, from a woman's standpoint, she's been hurt, cheated on, whatever. So she's going to run because she doesn't want to feel that way again. She doesn't want to face that. And a man, I think, often runs because they're just so afraid that this is it, that this is the one. And they just turn.
The funny thing is, I'm the opposite. If
I know.
If I had been met by someone who was, my person, struck me by lightning at 15 years old, I would have said, okay, I don't need to date. I don't need to go see what's on the other pastures and all this gar. This is the thing I don't understand about people. If you have a nice farm and you have great cattle and you have great chickens and it's all working out, and you're like, yeah, but what about those chickens that, down that road? And I heard that milk's pretty good. If your life is good and things are going well, why are you doing that? Because these people are saying,
because maybe their life is good. Because maybe their life is good, but they don't feel that lightning connection.
It could be, but then other people, they can't deal with good. Okay, I've dated women that can only function in chaos.
Well, and a lot of the women you've talked about seem to have traumatic experiences in their past as well. And a lot of people they don't know what real normal love feels like. So that feels more chaotic to them than the chaos that they create around them because they've only lived their life in a sense of survival. You know what I mean?
I've dated women that feel they kind of come at me like it's suffocating to them to have somebody love them every day and be consistent. They don't like it. They kind of wanted me to be mean, like be a jerk on Tuesday.
I know people like this too. I really do. I know people like this too.
Break up with me, make me want you, make me miss you, make me think about you, and I just don't have time for that. I don't have time to play cat and mouse with somebody, and I mean to me that, but that's what I think most people that are unhappy. I think it's because that person that really could have gotten them there, really could have brought them to their knees. Because it's the thing, high risk, high reward. The person that can bring you to your knees is also the person that make you feel like you're on a cloud. And my dad said something to me recently that I will never forget. Because my dad was really hard on me growing up. And now we have a better relationship. And my father said to me, he said, Daniel, I don't understand you. Why does my son think that the red carpet girl that looks like that and has it like that, why does my son think that the red carpet girl isn't his girl? He said, Daniel, there is nobody on this planet there's no one above your level. There's nobody on a different level than you. And he said, I don't understand how you don't know that if you want the red carpet girl, that's what you deserve. And anything less than that, you need to leave it at home.
People have so many issues with self-worth in general. I'm not talking about you, I'm talking about people.
Yeah.
There's so many issues over the course of growing up and even at, I don't know, 30, 40 years old, where you would feel insecure about things. And I do think, again, people settle for what they think they deserve.
Yeah, always.
And that could be good, that could be bad, that could be fine, as Roy Kent said. It could be fine.
It could be just
you settle
fine
for what you think you deserve for a fine life. And it's happy and it's whatever, but it's not lighting your life on fire. It's not giving you that, like you said, that lightning strike fire. So I think that, I think people are just so messed up. They really are. It's just like a world of messed up people.
It is.
Rolling around being messed up and messy.
And one of the most unattractive things for a man or a woman to do is to tell me how much people want you and how wonderful you are and how I have to come to your level. If any of those words or statements or phrases come into the conversation, I've checked out. Because I've talked to women that are like, I know where I'm at and you need to get up. You need to come up to my level. Click.
Again, click. These are women that you've talked to twice. I just don't know who has the audacity to say these things in an early dating situation.
Can I tell you what one woman said?
Would never.
I'm not going to use her real name, obviously. I'm going to call her Tracy because that wasn't her name.
Okay.
I asked Tracy, I said, how do I put you in my phone? And she said, Tracy with a great ass. And I said,
you want to be cutesy and funny, flirty.
Yeah.
I don't think that's bad.
Not based on the other things she said to me. And I said to her, she's like,
I might say Andrew with the awesome personality.
Well, that's fine. But she said Tracy with a great ass. And I said to her, I go, really? And she goes, you saw the pictures on my profile. I'm not lying. And I was like, okay.
I think she was flirting. I'm telling you right now, I think she was flirting.
Not based on the more part of the conversation that I cannot share with you about how
okay. I'll take that. Yeah. But based on what you just told me, I would say I think she's being flirty.
No, I think it would be flirty 100% if she didn't say to me like, oh, I'm a super person. I like to do this. And like the first time we ever talked on the phone, it was like sex. And I was like, okay, this is a lot. And
again, I'm going to go back to this. There's a lot of damaged people out there telling people what they think they want to hear.
And I'm sitting there going, no, thank you. I'm good. But
some man has made her think that that's what she needs to say to intrigue a man on the first call, date, whatever. I'm telling you right now, that is not normal behavior.
But can I tell you? So she ended up talking about her exes in a lot of the conversation, and I ended up giving her advice straight from my heart, and she was thanking me for helping her realize she's been dating the wrong guy for years. And at the end of it all, she's like, but I'm still not over him. And I'm like, I'm happy that I helped you see, but you didn't even see. It's like, oh, you're opening my eyes. I need to be with a man who I have good conversation with. So all the things that we were having together in that first conversation, she's like, this is who I should be with. And then she fell back to, yeah, but I'm really attracted to these nutcases. And I'm like, okay, I'm happy that we had an hour conversation where you asked my advice on your ex-boyfriends.
People just want to be told. People know what to do.
Yeah.
They just want to be told what to do.
And then I told her, and then it was like, well, I'm still not over him. And I'm like, oh, okay.
And maybe she won't be ever.
Right.
With that attitude, she definitely won't be. But in general, maybe she won't be ever. You just don't know. I mean, but
yeah,
looks like to me she wanted a friend.
And she said to me, she texted me, I never responded, but she texted me and she said, I know your rules on being a friend. Because my whole thing is like, if I meet you on a dating app, I'm not here to be your buddy. And so so she's like, I understand your rule and you might not want to wait for me. And I don't do the wait for me. I do not do the wait for me. Wait until I'm done with everybody else and I'll come back to you, a better woman. No, thank you. No, thank you.
You don't like me enough to chase after me right now. And I don't mean chase after him. That's the wrong term. That's horrible to say.
Yeah, but
if you don't like me enough to want to pursue this right now, like what makes you think that even if I was the type that wanted to wait, like what makes you think that I want you to wait? Like, again, I want lightning. Right. I don't want to be a second choice or a maybe or this she's got a great job. She seems like a good girl. Maybe she would be a good one. No, I want somebody that would like want to be with me.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that it's love at first sight, that they just know right off the bat, but like, when you have a connection.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you pursue it and you date 6 months or whatever, and you have a really deep connection and it continues on or whatever, when things start to get stale, but your connection's still there and you guys can work together to like make it better, then that's probably your person. You know what I mean? But like, if they start to get stale and you guys try to work on it and it's not, then guess what? You don't really have a connection and you wasted a lot of your time.
Yeah. And that's the thing is, if for nothing else, like my buddy Isaac said to me, he said, these women are showing you they're crazy so fast that it's like you're not even dealing with like a half a day. It's like done. In a
way, though, it's like I'm grateful that when you tell me these stories that these women are so crazy and they're showing it right off the bat, because in the past, women would wait 3 to 6 months before they really said, I'm a psychopath. You know what I mean? Oh, yeah. And we all got crazy in us. I know somebody, it's like he and her in a relationship, they've been in a relationship for a long time and they took jobs wherever separately. Anyway, they're living separately right now. And she's never seen where he lives.
There's a there's a movie made about that.
Okay. But like, I want to say to him, I don't know how to tell you this, but she doesn't care that much about you. I know that you guys are getting married and all these things. And like, she doesn't care that much about you then, because I have to tell you, I'm not what I would call a crazy girl. I am what I would call a girl who has freaking common sense. And also I am a girl who, like, if you're my man, like, I'm going to know where you live. That's for sure. You know what I mean? And I get it. Look, you've both got jobs, whatever. But if you don't miss your man enough that on a weekend when he's working, you don't come over there to like spend time with him so he's not constantly rushing to be with you, I don't care what anybody says. That woman does not feel lightning about you.
No. And the thing is, let's stop making these things sound like they're crazy. Knowing where somebody lives, knowing if they have a job, knowing that they're actually
what they're doing, asking for the common decency of a text back to let me know what's going on.
Yeah,
those are not crazy things.
Yeah.
Those are somebody who gives a F about you and wants to make sure that we're communicating, and that like it's not about keeping tabs. It's just normal decency.
Right. Texting you back.
Human decency.
Having a job.
Yeah, don't leave somebody on read for 7 hours.
No, but that's the thing, is that people have now been told that it's not normal to go to someone's house and know where they live. It's not normal to talk about their job. It's not normal to understand their childhood. It's not normal. Yes, it is. You have to know things about somebody in order to know what you're getting into. You don't marry somebody knowing a little bit about them and just trusting Do not trust somebody's word. Watch their actions.
If you're getting married,
if you're getting married and you've never been to their apartment, that person could be a serial killer.
Right. Well,
come on.
There's more to that story, but that's neither here nor there.
Well, I hear serial killer when you tell me that story. That's what I hear.
Well, they've been together a long time. I'll say this.
Well, so he might be a serial killer for a long time. So
maybe true. No, but like, here's the thing. Like, so you're getting married to somebody, and your relationship already seems stale,
detached,
right?
Distant.
So you're getting married and you're already in a detached situation. Mm-hmm. It does not get different because you got married.
It only gets worse.
Right.
Things only get worse in those situations.
But I just think, I'll tell you, we are all a world of messed up people. We really are. Like, it is a world of filter. People have such a vision of what they're supposed to do. Follow this path of life, right?
Yeah.
So they avoid it. And then suddenly they're, oh God, I got to follow this path. I got to do the right thing. Yeah. But I wish more people would be like, no. I have to do the right thing for me.
Yeah.
If more people were living true to what they truly felt, loved, wanted to be, if more people were comfortable in that side of vulnerability and feeling that level of love with somebody, there would be a lot. I can't help but think there would be happier people in this world.
People have chosen control over vulnerability.
Clearly.
They've chosen power over respect.
Yeah.
They've chosen superficial over lightning. They've chosen what they've been told to look for as opposed to what you should. It's
what you should feel. What you should feel.
Yeah, what do you feel?
There's this whole
what do you feel when you're
of
around
feeling.
them? When my friends and my parents know me clearly. Because when they say to me, oh, you went on a date? Yeah. What'd you think of her? She was nice. My dad goes, next. It's because he knows what I mean by that. Because I'm going to call my parents. Number one, I'm going to call my parent, call my buddy. I'm going to call somebody in my circle and I'll be like, dude, I got a connection with this girl. And you know, if you have a connection with somebody when it's like, I don't even care if she likes sports or not. That's not the connection that I'm talking about. Like, she makes me laugh.
You're looking forward to seeing them again.
Right.
You're feeling that. I hope they call me.
When I drive away and I want to drive right back around
or send them a text. You leave, and you want to send them a text because you're like, oh, you're thinking about them. They hear a song, you miss them, like whatever. That is the deep thing that people should be looking for, and they're not.
No, people, and that's the thing. I know me. I know if I'm in it and if I want to be in it, and I know pretty quick. And I also know pretty quick when I don't want to be in it. And it's so clear to my people that it's like night and day. They're looking at me going, Dan, I know that you know that you know that I know that you know. And I'm like, oh, I know. And, you got to get struck by lightning to get struck by lightning. You can't pretend that you got struck by lightning. But I have one more story I want to share today.
Okay.
And this is the story of LOL. And ironically, Andrea, it's not a funny thing that she did. But here we go.
Okay.
This is the story of LOL. This girl I never went on a date with, never saw in person, never talked to her on the phone. This was text messages over a period of a day and a half. The first day we texted and we had a nice conversation back and forth for a few hours. The second day, she had texted me during my show and she had said to me, something about role playing, and she was trying to be sexual about it. She's like, oh, role playing to men usually means this, da da da. And I said, I'm not like most men. I'm a one of one. And then I sent something with like laughing emojis, like I'm serious, but I'm having fun.
Right, you're flirting.
Right. She responded to me and said, well, I wasn't talking about you in caps. I was talking about most men. And just so you know, if you take things seriously, like it seems like you're doing right now, we're not going to work out and this isn't going to work for me. And it already seems like you're offended by something right off the jump. I wrote
This
back,
is why texting is a problem. I'm going to say this because you can't hear people's
and
tone.
this is what I said to her. But again, a woman who didn't judge. I don't judge. No judgment.
Okay.
She judged me in 5 seconds. I wrote back to her 3 words. I was kidding. And then she gave me a tutorial in what LOL means. And she said, well, how do I know you're kidding? You didn't write LOL and you didn't write an emoji. Now, we did write emojis, but I'm not here to correct her because I already realized the type of human she was. God forbid I corrected her, she would have lost her mind. So I responded So I said I was kidding, and then she wrote, how am I supposed to know? You didn't put LOL or an emoji. I didn't know that you were doing that. I don't know if I believe that. So now she's questioning, were you saying you're kidding and you weren't kidding? And she writes this long paragraph, and I wrote, I don't think life that
Too
deep.
much work.
What'd you say?
This is too much work right off the bat. By the
Yeah,
way.
I was like, I don't take life that seriously. I joke around a lot. People that know me know I'm kidding. Didn't mean to send anything by it. Just kidding around and having a good time. And she wrote back to me, and I would like to, I don't know if I still have it, but let me see if I have it. I may have it. Because if I have it, I'll read it to you. I don't know if I have it. I might have totally deleted it off my phone because it was psychotic. Yeah, I think I did. But I remember it well enough to tell it. So she said, so then when she was yelling at me, she was writing LOL. And I was like, it's funny and ironic how this girl is telling me how to use LOL, yet I'm getting yelled at and she's using LOL, which makes it look like she doesn't know how to use it. But she said, LOL, how am I supposed to know? Again, how am I supposed to know? You need to do it this way. This is how I do it. So this is how you need to do it. Because now she's telling me, well, however I do things, you need to conform to how I do things because I'm right and you're wrong all the time. And I'm reading through this thing, and then I let it be. And I said, again, just kidding, like, don't know what else to say to you. So we were supposed to talk on the phone that day for the first time. I thought just for giggles that I would send to her, because I knew we weren't going to talk. So I was like, hey, are we still talking tonight? No response. A couple hours later, she's like, oh, and she lives at home with her parents. And she's like, oh, I went to dinner with my parents and I'm mentally drained. And I was like, whatever. So then I said, oh, I totally get it. And then she wrote to me. She said, did you delete me off of the dating app? And I don't feel like I owe anybody an explanation about anything. So I don't like to lie. That's not who I am. I just feel like certain people don't deserve the information in the sense of you don't know me like that and you don't respect me. So I don't need to tell you why I'm making decisions in my life. I've known you for 5 seconds and you're rude already. So I was like, I'm thinking about deleting the app. She's like, well, why wouldn't you just delete the app then? Delete the app. Don't delete individual conversations. Just delete one conversation. And I was like, yeah, I don't know. And she's like, I don't know if I believe you. And I was like, great. And then I was like, I deleted the app because I said, we're talking. I don't, whatever. Like, why do I need to keep our conversation? I have your phone number. And she wrote back to me, well, why would you delete the app if we're not dating? And I was like, are you assuming I'm deleting the app because I'm talking to you? Like I'm deleting the app and everyone I could talk to in the universe because you're my person after a day.
There's a lot of assumptions here with this girl.
Yeah. So,
she's a big humor.
And I was just like, damn, like, what? And so then I knew that this was coming. I was just waiting for it. And she said, I'm not really feeling this. I'm sorry. Good luck in your future. And I paused and I wrote, LOL.
LOL. I know it. I know it.
I was like, did I do it right? So, yeah.
That's so funny. That's a good response. I think, again, I said this in the beginning of this conversation, like, you texting and tone are such a problem. They really are.
Oh, yeah.
And, I mean, I have people in my life, like, I send exclamation points on things a lot. And if somebody sends me something that seems like kind of cold-ish, I mean, I feel like I notice that too. Like, I notice that kind of stuff. So I can sort of understand some of the things she said there, not from a crazy aspect, just like well, wait. But again, these people are so weird that in 1 or 2 conversations of just texting, that this is how deep you guys are getting on fighting. It's like, what in the literal world is happening with these people? And it's like, are they bored and they're desperately seeking connection so bad that they just are looking to fight with people?
Well, and the thing is like,
they don't have a relationship to fight.
Well, and the thing is that she wrote me these long paragraphs about her ex, and I live with my parents, and I'm 35, and I live with them because I'll never live with a man again unless I'm engaged, because because we got a house together and we were going to do this, and then his family took over, and then he pushed me out and this and that. And I'm like, okay, I don't need to know all this stuff about your ex. The other part of it was that other girl that I told you was like over sexualized. This is what she said to me the first time we talked on the phone. She said, I don't know if I'm over this guy. Well, she didn't say that initially. She's like, we broke up, and I just I don't know what to think, and I don't know what's going on, because he literally went to bed and told me he loved me, and I was in the house, and I woke up and he changed the locks. And I was like, oh, honey, if a man changed the locks on you, something you're leaving out that happened in the middle. What happened at 3:00 in the morning? Because you're like, he loved me and he was talking about my future with him and my kid, and then he changed the locks. And she's like, and I'm outside banging on the door, screaming to get in the house. And I was like, you're leaving something out. Something's being left out.
Yeah, I always wonder, are people intentionally leaving things out, or are they go through so many crazy experiences that they start to blur the lines of what really happened, or omitting details?
Andrea, I have dated a lot of crazy women.
I know.
And I don't...
From what you've told me, I know. I can tell.
And I don't change my locks. You want to know why? Get the kicker. Since I was married, I did this subconsciously. I didn't even know I did it until I did it, and now I'm proud. 5 years now since I've been married, pretty much. I've never given a woman a key to my house, no matter how long we've dated. She's never had a way in. She doesn't know the code to my security system, and she doesn't have a key to the house. And I said to my mom and dad,
if you do give a key to the house, you got to be feeling pretty serious with somebody.
Oh, yeah.
To me, giving a key to your house is I want you to just show up.
I had a girl give me a key to her apartment. Granted, the one that cheated on me recently. She gave me a key to her apartment 2 weeks in, and I looked at her and I went, I'm not a bad person, but you don't know that yet. I'll literally look at someone and go, you have nothing to worry about with me, but I don't feel like you should be giving me a key right now, because I know who I am, but just in the brass tacks of the broad scope of this, you've known me for 2 weeks. You should not be giving me a key to your apartment.
Yeah.
But she did, and I still have it.
Again, you could be a serial killer.
Right. I'm not, but I've dated some people that were towing that. I remember watching the movie Gone Girl, and I'm like, I was about 2 months away from one of the girls doing that to me. That movie is insane. I think it's based on a true story.
It is. Well, I know it's based on a book, so I don't know if it's a true story, but I know it's based on a book. But again, it all ties back to me, people are so desperate. I can't imagine how you could feel.
Well, the thing is, these women
you can't feel a connection with somebody right off the bat. I'm not saying that. I actually think that does happen.
Yeah.
But I think when you're feeling like you have a connection and you give somebody your house key 2 weeks in, when I say connection, I mean you can tell from the start if there's something there, right? Yeah. So you pursue it. Now, if it doesn't work out for any reason, which we did kind of talk about this a little earlier, but you might still feel that connection for that person later on in life. You know what I mean? There's things those are true, deep connections. I think a lot of people are connect the dots and play a little, but not connected. They're not connect four. You know what I mean? They're not all in.
It's not tic-tac-toe. It's two O's. It's two circles and them going, well, I know where I'm going to put my other circle. And it's but you're not ready for the X. And figuratively and literally. But no, I mean, I've been treated on these apps by two people now. The psychoanalyzing, serious, trying to find something wrong with a guy. I just looked down at my phone and I'm like, this woman is yelling at me at 10 o'clock in the morning over something on a text message that was a total joke. And this is the thing that I don't understand about people. They fight with you over their perception when you're telling them reality. And it's well, this is what I thought you said, but this is what I said. This is what I thought you said, and I'm mad. But this is what I said, and you shouldn't be. This is what I thought you said, but this is what I actually said. Why are people fighting in a fantasy fake universe where they could be happy in the real one? I can't tell you how many women have fought with me over what they thought I was going to say. I had a woman fight with me because she had a bad dream about me, and she woke up and she thought in the dream I was a jerk, so now I'm a jerk, and I needed to apologize in real life for the dream that she had. I'm like, bro, fantasy, reality. I don't understand when somebody comes at me and goes, well, this is what I thought you meant, but this is what I meant. So few people in life will actually clarify what they meant to say. Most people will just let you try and figure out what they meant to say. I will come to you and say,
for sure.
Andrea,
for sure.
this is what I meant. This is exactly what I meant. So if you got upset over a text message and I said, Andrea, this is what I meant, dead it. It's done. This is what I meant. Whatever you thought I meant, this is what I actually meant. And that's it.
Well, perception is reality, isn't it? You know what I mean? Like for people, perception is reality.
Reality is
And
reality
unfortunately, when people aren't
communicating.
people don't communicate this stuff. It leaves the other person to just assume and create their own narrative of what the other person thinks, feels, does, and that's just not, that's not reality.
Let me hit you with this in closing, because this is my thought on this. People say perception is reality. I say reality is reality. Because to me, people will fight with you on what they think you are rather than what you actually are. And I, for the life of me, don't understand. When you tell somebody, hey, this is what I meant, this is the place I'm coming from. If I wanted to say, I've told people at the beginning of a relationship, if I want to say something, I will say it. I'm not going to kind of say it. I'm not going to beat around. I'm not going to talk about a balloon when I want to talk about a helicopter. If I want to say something, I'm going to say it to you. I'm going to say it respectfully, but I'm going to say it to you. I'm going to bring you my truth. And that whole perception is reality. Reality, to me, is reality. That's how people have to look at it. We deal so much in what we think somebody said as opposed to what they said. And 99% of fights are what you thought somebody meant and what you thought they said. So here's the thing I want to hit you with. That I want the world to understand. The way somebody responds to you is built on their life experience. These two women responded to me as a total stranger based on experiences. They didn't talk to me about anything that had to do with me. They responded to me that reflected what they've experienced in life. And once people start to understand that you are a reflection of your experiences, then you start realizing why you respond to things different than other people do.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that unfortunately, too, people never take into account what other people are going through in their day, in their life, in anything. Even back to something as silly as short responses on text messages. You know what I mean? People do not care what you are going through as long as you're okay enough to be there for them.
I think Andrea and I just hit you with some truth bombs at the end of this show. So we definitely had some of those go off. I am more than sure that you'll be seeing clips of this episode probably today on your social media outlets. Andrea, as always, 2 mics, no filter. Appreciate it. You and I have more work to do. And hopefully we got something special coming up in a couple weeks that we can hopefully get done for the people.
Okay.
Thank you as always. Take care. That coming from Andrea Smith, myself, Dan Tortora, a.k.a. DT, in 2 mics, no filter, here on Wake Up Call, where sports meets life. We're going to take a step aside for a fast break. We'll wrap up today's show right after this. Located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, has been your trusted neighbor for decades. Located just steps from Liverpool High School, we're happy to have the Liverpool Warriors on-site, on-location broadcast at Avicoli's through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month, featuring student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year from Liverpool High School. Head out to Avicoli's today on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, open Tuesday through Sunday Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. We'd love to see you out there. And of course, you can call them at 315-622-5100 for takeout, delivery, and catering. That's 315-622-5100. And also find them on myavocollis.com. That's myavocollis.com. Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Campground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Campground and where your dog will be staying, in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Campground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9campground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and campground spelled with a K.com. K9campground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to Canine Campground.
PB&J's Lunchbox, the food truck that you love finding all throughout Central and Upstate New York, now has a street-side cafe. So when you're craving their traditional favorites as well as their out-of-box amazing menu items, you can now head to 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. Located just minutes from the highway, the Thruway, Destiny USA, and Onondaga Lake Parkway, PB&J's Lunchbox Street-Side Cafe is there for you Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner all throughout the day. Get breakfast for dinner, dinner for lunch, whatever you fancy, including their award-winning grilled peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Find them at 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. PB&J's Lunchbox, where we love to know what's in your lunchbox. This is a special message from 317 at Montgomery restaurant owner Joel Carpenter. Open Tuesday through Saturday for your dining pleasure on 317 Montgomery Street in Syracuse, New York.
We wanted to be a part of the resurgence of Syracuse. We saw a lot of money being put into bringing people back downtown and thought that, we'd like to be a part of that. I love putting together a good dish where people see it first, they fall in love with it, and then it tastes just as good as it looks. We want to provide the best food in Syracuse that we possibly can, and we want you to leave here talking to your family, your friends about what you had to eat first and foremost, but also our service, and to walk out feeling like you're part of our family. I work out in the front of the house a lot, and I love walking to every single table, asking them how everything is, and people looking at me and smiling and saying, this is the most amazing short rib I've ever had. This is the most amazing filet I've ever had. And Donna is great. Sarah's amazing. Thank you for coming over and talking to us. And then them just being truly happy for the experience that they've gotten.
317 at Montgomery Restaurant, part of the fabric of downtown Syracuse, located on 317 Montgomery Street in Syracuse, New York. Open Tuesday through Saturday for a unique and memorable dining experience. In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville Bees. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you.
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. He kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have at any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
I'm George Townsend of Honda City with some good advice when buying a new car. The true cost of owning a new car is determined by the appraised value when you trade it. No vehicle appraises higher than a Honda. Next, look for low APRs and deep discounts. You also want low maintenance costs and great fuel economy. That's why my advice to you is to buy a new Honda. Looking pre-owned, visit our Honda Certified Used Car Center. Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard, Liverpool, or HondaCity-CNY.com.
It would be a pity if you don't shop at Honda City.
Our corporate purpose at Chick-fil-A is to glorify God by being faithful stewards of all that's entrusted to us and to positively influence all those who come in contact with Chick-fil-A. And what became increasingly clear from our success in Cicero is that people love Chick-fil-A. And also, I think we recognized that, we had a great opportunity to grow the brand and grow our platform. I felt incredibly grateful when I was selected to be a Chick-fil-A operator. I think what it's meant for me, what I've come to realize on a very deep level is that this is a calling for me. It's not a career. It's not a job. The Lord called me to be a Chick-fil-A operator and to use these restaurants to glorify Him and to positively influence other people. I'm blessed. I'm very blessed.
Head to Chick-fil-A Clay on 3974 State Route 31 in Liverpool, New York. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal Studios, hanging out with you where sports truly meets that thing called life. We appreciate you being here every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And of course, we have gone over our 2-hour allotment as we typically do, having great conversation with two wonderful people, DT and Murphy with Brendan Murphy, and of course, Miss Andrea here for Two Mics, No Filter. So, a lot of great stuff. This is the thing about having a live broadcast, is you never know what's going to happen. And I have had the blessing of breaking news on my show many, many, many times. And having the blessing of being able to do that here this morning, Jalen Hurts has a new contract, folks. And there are going to be some ripple effects. Now, Jalen Hurts has allegedly agreed to a 5-year, I need you to sit down for this, you'll fall out the chair, 5-year, $255 million deal. 5-year, $255 million. That averages $51 million a season. Now, the guarantees, there's $110 million fully guaranteed at signing, and There's $126.5 million fully guaranteed by March 2024, as well as the first no-trade clause ever in Eagles history. Now, Jalen Hurts is only 24 years old. Jalen Hurts was replaced in Alabama by Tua. Now Jalen Hurts is, with Pat Mahomes, is the highest paid quarterbacks in the nation. $179.304 million in total guarantees, which include what I mentioned before, $110 million fully guaranteed at signing, and $126.5 fully guaranteed by March 2024. He can earn an additional $15 million in incentives, giving him the opportunity to make as much as $274.304 million through 2028, including $4.304 million that he would have been due in the last year of his original rookie contract this season. Now he gets a raise in 2023. Speaking of Jalen Hurts, he'll get a $23.294 million signing bonus and will make $64 million through the first new year in 2024. He's under contract for the next 6 years. And a shout out to Nicole Lynn, who negotiated the contract. He was a second round pick 53rd overall in the 2020 NFL Draft. Made it to the Super Bowl this year. Lost to the Chiefs. The $179.304 million in guarantees is the second largest in NFL history, behind, you guessed it, Deshaun Watson's 5-year, $230 million fully guaranteed deal, because the Browns do things that nobody else does, and typically they don't work out well. I don't believe that this will be different. So, not wishing bad on Deshaun Watson, not wishing bad on the Browns. At all. At all. At all. At all. Not wishing bad on the Browns, not wishing bad on Deshaun Watson. Just saying that I don't believe that this is even a playoff team. When he's getting 5 years, $230 million fully guaranteed. But get your money, bro. Do your thing. Now, Deshaun Watson and Broncos quarterback Russell Wilson had more fully guaranteed at signing than Hurts' $110 million. The total cash is second in NFL history, behind only the 10-year, $450 million deal that was signed by Pat Mahomes, which he signed with the Chiefs in 2020, which ironically was when Jalen Hurts was drafted. So you got your two highest paid quarterbacks are the ones that played in the Super Bowl this past season. Jalen Hurts of the Eagles and Pat Mahomes of the Chiefs. When you look at average annual salary. Absolutely nuts. Absolutely nuts. Almost $180 million guaranteed of the $255. Behind only Deshaun Watson's fully guaranteed $230 million contract. And the thing about Deshaun Watson is he's a top 4 pick, but he was on a Houston Texans team that wasn't that great. They went to the playoffs because everybody else in the division stunk. They really didn't have to win a lot. They had to win enough. But would the Texans have made it if they were in another division? Deshaun Watson was okay. He wasn't great. He was pretty good in Clemson, but he wasn't great with the Houston Texans. Then he gets in trouble, and then you give him a fully guaranteed contract? You make history with a guy that was in trouble at the time. So, and listen, not that he did anything or didn't do anything. I think we live in a world where people are guilty until proven innocent instead of the other way around. And so maybe Deshaun didn't do anything. And this is all smoke and mirrors. It was just a weird place to give a fully guaranteed contract to a quarterback that wasn't playing football. You would think you would give it to somebody like a Joe Burrow, or, down the road a year or two, Trevor Lawrence, or Pat Mahomes, or someone who has led you to a Super Bowl or to the playoffs. And like I said, Deshaun Watson going to the playoffs in recent AFC South history, it's not saying a lot. Because they're okay. That's just kind of how it is. They were okay in a division that was not okay. And that's what it really came down to. So, to me, taking a look at all this, I'm happy for Jalen Hurts. But it's going to do something to the NFL that's going to make an already almost impossible feeling decision more impossible. We'll talk about it right after this.
Cafe Cabal offers same-day local delivery of our products, offering no delivery charge for Onondaga County. Shop cafecabal.com for fresh roasted coffee beans, cold brew, travel mugs, and all your essential Cafe Cabal needs. Cafe Cabal, coffee for the soul.
This is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the whole frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating. Find them at 201 Old 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday in-store and all the time online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond. You can order all throughout the country at maandpaspopcorn.com. And remember to get your tins, which have in-store half-price refills forever. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, available to you for fundraising and all of your events by calling 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you? This is a special message from Merritt Brady, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Watertown on 1290 Arsenal Street in Watertown, New York.
Chick-fil-A for me has always been about the people. I think it starts with the strength and leadership of the Cathy family. It's just amazing to see a family-run business reach the altitude that they have. Second mile service is something that we embodied at my previous business, and the ability to make people feel like they're the only person at your establishment, that you are there to serve them that day and looking for those extra ways to make them happy, to anticipate what they need next is what makes me tick. And I'm going to have so many opportunities at Chick-fil-A to do that. It's one of my favorite things to eat in the world. My favorite application question or interview question when I'm interviewing is when I get to, have you ever eaten at Chick-fil-A? And a smile hits both their ears. You know, they can't even answer the question for a second. And when I see that, it's like, man, that's going to be a great hire. They already get it. They already feel it. They already know that we're different. The Chick-fil-A experience, it's a real thing. And then, of course, just our generosity and community involvement and making a positive impact in the lives of our team members, our guests, and the community in general, I think is really the secret sauce.
Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of the Cafe Kubal studios for some bonus time here where sports meets life. And that thing for Jalen Hurts, that deal, 5 years, $255 million, $179.304 guaranteed. Boy, that is a great, great, great opportunity for Jalen Hurts. And you know what else it does? It makes an almost impossible situation. Nothing is impossible, right? I got this sign here. Hope makes the impossible possible. This is important for y'all to look at, see it, know it, appreciate it, because it's a real thing. Hope makes the impossible possible. My mom got it for me for my first apartment out of college, and it's been with me in every place that matters. So obviously it's here in the studio. Jalen Hurts' 5-year, $255 million deal with $179.304 million guaranteed. which is the second highest ever in the history of the NFL behind Deshaun Watson. And the timing of it has just made the outrageously difficult Lamar Jackson, Baltimore Ravens situation even worse. This scenario is not good now. I'm looking at this thing going, great for Jalen Hurts. First thing I thought when Brendan texted it to me this morning was, this is going to make the Lamar Jackson thing even more of an uphill battle. It's going to be even tougher than the already tough that it has been, which is sad to see, but also a reality, because this is where we sit right now. I thought about that. I was like, man, good for Jalen Hurts. And then I was like, what is this going to do with the Lamar Jackson sweepstakes? Right? The Ravens and Lamar over the last 2 years have not been able to sign a long-term deal. And now you have Jalen Hurts getting that money. Pat Mahomes has that money. Aaron Rodgers just got big money. So here's Lamar Jackson. Now, the difference between Pat Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, Jalen Hurts, and Lamar is the other three guys have been to a Super Bowl. 2 of them have won one. At least one. So, I've defended Lamar. I've defended Lamar numerous times. And I have no problem doing it when it comes to the fact that I believe he's an NFL quarterback. I told people that well before the draft. Covered him for multiple years at Louisville. So, I have believed in Lamar's ability to play quarterback. And I've put myself out there publicly and stated it repeatedly. With that being said, I don't think Lamar's in the top 5 right now in the NFL. And I think a bunch of that has to do with the fact that he doesn't stay healthy. He has to stay healthy. And he hasn't. So that to me is an issue. An issue that needs to get figured out. And he has not been to a Super Bowl. He hasn't always been available for the playoffs in general because of injury. So my thing with Lamar is, if he thinks that he deserves to be paid what these guys are being paid, you just added Jalen Hurts to it. Philadelphia being another bird from an eagle to a raven, you just ruffled the nest. You just ruffled the feathers inside of a nest of another bird. This Jalen Hurts ripple effect is on top of Deshaun Watson, on top of Aaron Rodgers, on top of this Lamar Ravens issue, battle. Lamar's not winning. The Ravens aren't winning. And now Jalen Hurts put himself in a record-setting situation. Second most guaranteed money ever. $51 million if you break it down annually. I'm happy for Jalen. But there's a 4-letter word that I believe John Harbaugh and the staff might be saying. And it's not kite, rope, chip, love. It's a different word. Because this Lamar situation, I didn't know if it could get any worse. It might have just gotten worse. I want to thank you for tuning in here on Wake Up Call with probably a lot worse. Here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And beyond that, as we did today, youtube.com and facebook.com/wakeupcalldt, facebook.com/live-now-DT, and on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com. Once the shows go live, they jump into our archives, and you can come and hang out with us on Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, MixLR, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, Player FM, Podbean, Podvine, YouTube. All you have to do is search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. Big thanks to our incredible partners, Cafe Kubal, Carvel DeWitt, the Wildcat Sports Pub, PB&J's Lunchbox, Great Lakes Honda City, Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, 317 at Montgomery, Canine Campground Dog Boarding, Chick-fil-A Watertown, Mother's Cupboard, where we have the exclusive Wake Up Call breakfast sandwich. My sandwich is on-site, on location, the Cuse McMother, available only at Mother's Cupboard, 3709 James Street in Syracuse, 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. You can go and get the Cuse McMother, my spin on the breakfast sandwich, bacon, egg, and cheese inside of 2 pieces of French toast. You can cut it up and eat it with syrup, or you can pick it up and eat it like a sandwich. Get it there at Mother's Cupboard today. Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay, as well as Canine Camp Dog Daycare, Avicoli's, Pizza Man, and we are proud to be the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your every single month on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life, as we have the opportunity to bring you our conversations with the Dolphins of Lemoyne. Every Wednesday is Dolphin Time Wednesdays at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, first and third Wednesday of each month. You're going to get AD and DT with Athletics Director Bob Beretta and myself, Dan Tortora. Every second and fourth Wednesday, you're going to get the Dolphin Dive, diving into the stories of student athletes, coaches, future Dolphins, as well as alumni and administration. All of that is available on the Lemoyne tab on wakeupcalldt.com and by subscribing to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. So make sure you jump into that and subscribe to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt this morning for all of that content. Want to give a big time shout out and make sure you check out our social media. I did an interview with Liz Bevel coming off of winning their 11th game of the season and 7th game against a ranked team this season in 9 tries against the top 25. They won 7 of them and improving to 6-0 at home. Liz Bevel, the head coach of the women's lacrosse team, joined me. You don't want to miss that. And I have more baseball specials coming up today, and there's already a bunch of them on there. AD Bob Beretta's speech, Joe Russo, who played for the baseball team, as well as Bart Holstein, Bart Holstein, representing his brother Eric Holstein, who got put into retirement, his number 13 jersey, forever retired. So Bart's address to the community, as well as Dick Rockwell, whose number 24 jersey got retired, his address to the community. So those are all on there. You don't want to miss any of those. And there's plenty coming up, including a one-on-one conversation between Bart Holstein and myself, and Dick Rockwell and myself, all coming up on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life. So make sure you stay close to those wonderful Lemoyne pieces. Had a great weekend out there, celebrating 30 years of women's lacrosse and 75 years of baseball. Also, the address of head coach Scott Cassidy is already up on our social media, as well as youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. For more information on your Dolphins, go to LeMoyneDolphins.com. Bryan and Stratton College of Syracuse, our exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Don't miss a moment of all of our specials we get to do with Bryan and Stratton College of Syracuse, including our most recent roundtable discussion, which was on a straight table. So a straight table discussion, I guess we could say, with the baseball team. We had a fantastic conversation on faith, family, teamwork, togetherness, learning, inaugural season, making history, first overall win. So many great things from Alex Garcia, as well as head coach Sean Peake, Evan Reynolds, and Maximo Santos. You don't want to miss a moment of that. That's going to be added as its own special as well. You can find out all of our Bryan and Stratton Syracuse content by going to the BSC Syracuse tab on wakeupcalldt.com, bookmarking it, saving it, keeping it forever. You can also subscribe to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, as so many of you have, and search Bobcat Buzz for our student athletes, coaches, and administration content. Don't miss a second of any of it, and we look forward to all the great things that are to come with the Bobcats here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora exclusively. And for more information, go to syracuse.bscbobcats.com. With that being said, I want to thank you for tuning in to today's broadcast, starting off the week with us here in the middle of April. I want to thank my fantastic guests one more time, Brendan Murphy for DT and Murphy, and Andrea Smith for Two Mics No Filter. Inside of Ma and Pa's Popcorn.com is what's poppin', which now has a premium line of kettle corn. Go out and get the flavors I suggest. There's a ton of great ones, but the one that I love the most right now is the Elvis, which is the banana kettle corn with Reese's peanut butter drizzle all over it. It is so good that I made a peanut butter and banana sandwich just to have the flavor again. So make sure you get out to Ma and Pa's today. Let them know that Wake Up Call sent you. The best snack place to go, in my opinion, the snack capital of Central New York. Head off to Ma and Pa's today, 201 Old 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. If you're out of town, go to Ma and Pa's Popcorn.com. Find us on Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, Twitter at Call DT, and Instagram at Wake Up Call _DT. I'll be posting content with Lemoyne and Bryant Stratton College of Syracuse coming up today. And, of course, posting some content for Two Mics No Filter. A lot of great things coming up. They'll be on our social media, and we can't wait to see you there. In the meantime, God bless, no stress, do your best. Be a good